Greetings, and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. Joining me today, you should know, she's the clever one, Manderly. It's Joanna Robinson. Hello, my darling.
Hello, my dearest. I'm so excited. This is my favorite thing to do. Talk
Same.
to you about Thrones.
Same.
What a joy. What a delight.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. Thrilled to have the bad babies with us. We are here to dive deep, deep into somehow already the 4th episode. What the fuck?
Somehow already halfway through the season.
Of season 3 of House of the Dragon, and we're going to get to it right after this. We are thrilled to share that the Ringerverse team, the Midnight Boys Pew Pew, and the House of R will be returning to San Diego Comic-Con this July.
We're kicking off on Thursday, July 23rd at Whiskey Girl for a Ringerverse fan meetup. No badge required. We'll be there for an hour or so starting around 6:30, so come say hi, grab a drink, celebrate with us.
And then on Saturday, July 25th at 10:30 a.m., come to our panel. Comic-Con badge holders can find the Midnight Boys Pew Pew and the House of R.
Correct.
In room 5AB on the upper level of the convention center for a Ringerverse Supergroup panel. We're going to be discussing the franchises that have dominated nerd culture this year and taking stock of what's to come.
So whether you're local to San Diego or in town for Comic-Con, we'd love to see you at Whiskey Girl on Thursday. Or if you're a badge holder, join us on Saturday, July 25th for our panel.
See you in San Diego. Okay, here's what we're actually getting to. Programming reminders, couple updates. This podcast is coming to you a day later than usual. Thank you for your patience. I have been, to quote Logan Roy, incredibly unwell. I still am. Not contagious, but I'm going to do my absolute best today. Had to push one day. Very sorry. The ripple effect of that is that we are not doing the Oppenheimer pod today, as we were supposed to. When will we do that? Guess what? Not before the Odyssey now.
That's okay.
We are just leaning into the non-linear
I was
storytelling.
about to say, this is how Christopher Nolan would want it.
As fully as we possibly can. We love a bit. We love a bit here.
But I do think it will be really interesting to talk about Oppenheimer in the wake of Odyssey.
Agreed.
You and I had talked about this as soon as we got out of our first screening of it, where we were just sort of like, wow, Oppenheimer.
Yes.
On the mind.
Both from the storytelling perspective, and then I think actually to come back with in a period of time where more people have gotten to see Odyssey, and we can also just talk about the oeuvre and like because hey, I don't know if y'all have heard, Oppenheimer won Best Picture, won all the Oscars. So like, now that we've seen another masterwork,
where does it rank?
where does it all rank?
Where does it rank? We love a list.
Is this all just a long con to have more time to figure out our personal power rankings? Who can
Who's
say?
to say?
Who's to say? We will be potting about the Odyssey in just a couple days. We are very, very, very excited.
I could not
talk
be
about that
more
movie.
excited. This is like,
Same.
I know I just said this is my favorite thing, which is true, talking about Thrones with you, but like talking about the Odyssey.
I would say there's a dash of our Thrones in the Odyssey.
Oh, more than a dash.
Yeah.
A healthy pour, I would say.
A very healthy pour. We will, of course.
Who's a reliable narrator? That's the theme.
Indeed.
Incest was the theme of the summer. Now I'm pivoting to who's telling the story and do we believe them?
I don't know if you can pivot. I think you have to hold that all at once because we're probably not done with incest. Let's just be honest about it.
Okay.
Speaking of, we will be back for Talk of the Thrones on Sunday night for episode 5 of House of the Dragon. CR will be back. The question is, will you be giving back your Oakland A's hat? Will you be giving back recap duties?
Your Oakland A's hat. Do you think Ciara's going to walk in and say, bring Aegon, the usurper, to me? Thanks for everyone for their kind words about my CR cosplay.
The adoring public genuinely loved it.
Appreciate it.
Genuinely
but the Master's
loved it.
back. I'm really excited for Ciara to be back for episode 5.
It's also somehow Lestat finale time. So we will be covering the final episode of the 3rd season of Interview with the Vampire Lestat, top of next week. And then we're going to Comic-Con. We're going to be at Comic-Con. The Midnight Boys Pew Pew are going to be at Comic-Con. Thursday night meetup. You don't need a pass.
No badge required.
Come to the meetup.
Whiskey Girl.
Details are on the social handles and probably an ad break that you heard like 45 seconds ago. But I like to give the authentic, in real time here, and just the flow of conversation among friends.
Spawn gone.
Harder to skip a baked-in ad. Panel. Saturday morning.
Correct.
You do need a badge for that, but we would encourage you to get one and come hang with us because we don't want to be embarrassed by an empty room. Fill those seats.
Yeah. We're in the main convention center this year.
I know.
We're moving closer and closer to our ultimate goal, which is clearly filling Hall H.
When will we be in Hall H?
Yeah.
I mean, you were in Hall H last year.
Not in this capacity.
Joanna, how can everybody follow along?
Oh my God, great question. Why don't you just subscribe to our freaking podcast already? I mean, that's the thing you could do. Why
For
not?
real. Yeah.
Follow us on socials at Ringerverse, at House of Our Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Watch us on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever you like to watch your podcasts. You can see the beautiful shade of purple that Mallory's wearing today. And then last but not least, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. We got so many incredible emails.
Some good emails this
I
week.
put almost all of them into the notes. Will I get to all of them? I'm not sure because there are only so many hours in the day.
Yes.
But I just wanted you to be able to see them all. And we'll
Delightful.
get to as many as we can. Just like some real great deep thoughts and thematic connections from the Bad Babies this week. Just incredible work.
Some
as always.
Some good theories, too.
Oh, yeah. Some fun theories.
That brings us to our spoiler warning. Same as always. If it happened inside of the 4th episode of House of the Dragon, Tumbleton, we'll be talking about it beat by beat in chronological order as we go through the deep dive today. If it's ever happened in House of the Dragon or any other episode of Game of Thrones television, it could come up today. Book context, canon and lore from the world, sprinkled as we go, but anything that's from the future in the canon, that is going to be in a separate book look-ahead, book spoiler section. At the very end of the podcast, you will get another warning, both from us and from Carlos's lovely sound effects.
Correct.
Before that section. If you want to hang around, great. If you don't, you'll know when it's time to go.
A chunky one this week, I would say.
There's a lot to talk about. Anything else on the programming reminders front?
I don't think so. Did I miss something?
No.
Let's do it.
I think we got it. Let's get to the opening snapshot. Okay, episode 4 of season 3, Tumbleton, 62 minutes, written by David Hancock, who previously wrote the 3rd and 7th episodes of season 2, which we quite enjoyed. Listed as the co-writer for the impending episode 6 of season 3 as well, so that's exciting. That's something to look forward to. This episode was once again directed by Claire Kilner, who has not only directed now 3 episodes in a row of season 3, but by my math here, by my count, has now directed 8 out of 22 episodes of House of the Dragon.
So more than a third of the series.
And well ahead of everybody else.
Everyone else. I went back and did the count, and I think 4 is the max that anyone else has done, right?
Sapochnik,
4,
Greg Yaitanes, and Gita Vasanpatel, I think each had 3.
3, so no one's done 4.
No one's even close.
Claire Killer. That's what we should call her. Anyway, she's amazing. Another great episode from her in the behind the scenes or the after episodes. No, House the Dragon's Built. It was really fun to see her talk about filming inside of the throne room in the Eyrie. And so I went back and rewatched it because she was talking about where she wanted to place the camera and how she had a circular track.
Yes.
And so watching that throne room scene, thinking about how intentionally she placed the camera and thinking about moments like Daemon leaning over the moon door to say your warmth about Jeyne and the camera's inside of the moon door. She shot him from just where she placed. She's
Do you think they time traveled and put a GoPro on Liza's head?
One can only hope.
Is that how they achieved that shot?
You think Liza is
just suspended
in midair?
With
a GoPro on her head?
To help with production? Is it possible?
Yes.
I like to believe.
If anyone could do it, it's Claire Kilner.
As I told you, I'm barely hanging on today. So these are the kinds of questions you can look forward to over the next 3 hours. Get excited. I also was struck and this of course is intuitive and makes sense, but you think about inside of a television series, how rare it is, hearing Claire and her team talk about getting to film in an arc. Getting to film multiple episodes back to back and what that opportunity afforded, not only to think about the continuity across the narrative in those episodes, but the work with the performers, the use of the settings and scenes. I thought that was just an obvious thing when you think about it, but you can feel the impact of that, I think.
I don't want to like slow production down. And if this will slow production down, I don't want that to happen, obviously.
We simply cannot slow down production
But
on
like,
House of the Dragon.
But like Claire Kilner
do it all
for every episode of the final season.
Wow.
It seems like she doesn't, and I choose to believe this is a choice on her part, and not that people think she can't. She doesn't do battle episodes really. And so
going to be hard to do all of season 4 then.
Right. Which is why she's not on episode 1 and she's not in the back half of the season, which seems like it's going to be like wall-to-wall battles. So she seems to like, which is why we respond to her episodes so much because, you know, Gwayne and Criston Cole sitting at a table talking in a room. I'm like, yeah, give me that shit. That right in my veins. That's what I want.
Wonderful.
So I don't know where we're going to find space for Claire in season 4, but I demand it.
I agree. Claire will be back and we will be thrilled. Joanna, in case anybody missed your CR impression on Talk to Thrones, first of all, go check it out and then just watch all of Talk to Thrones while you're there. What did you think of this episode? Give us your quick table setting take. And while we're at it, because it is the midway mark, how are you feeling about season 3 overall?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to apologize to Vhagar for misgendering her on Talk the Thrones. I really, really do apologize.
Talk about doing a CR impression.
Yeah, it was a method way of looking like I didn't know what the dragons were. So you're welcome. So my apologies to her and her family and her team. And I loved episode 4. And the more I think about it, I've had more time than usual to think about it. The more I think I liked it even more than episode 3, which I loved. Again, we talked about like conceptually, I really loved the execution of episode 3. I think like formatively. I think that was just such a really interesting choice. But as I said, I am so compelled by the Ormund Daeron stuff. It's like the most emotionally engaged I think I've been all season. And so I do think this episode is so important for pulling that off and giving us just like, I'm just so all in on our poor boy Daeron with very little time. And that's an impressive achievement. So, you know, or like scenes like Helena's pregnancy, which is revealed with one word of dialogue.
Yeah.
Helaena.
Her name.
That's it. You know?
And a tug on a dressing gown. It's great.
It's, so I loved this episode. I really did.
I also thought this episode was wonderful. Ormund is just an incredible first season character here. I mean, really, really excellent. I agree. I'm quite compelled by Daeron. And in an interesting of two minds way where it makes me wish that Daeron had been here sooner, as I had wanted earlier, but also the kind of thing where you're like, maybe the time that we waited was worth it because it's such an effective moment and way to introduce him into the story. So, you know, I do find myself thinking about how little total runway is left. 4 episodes this season, by all accounts, 8 next season and the final season, and getting quite sad that we only have 12 episodes after we talk about this one. We've got 12 episodes plus 2 hours and 56 minutes of discussion about this episode.
Plus the full rewatch we will do of all the seasons before the final season.
Let's not forget the 8 to 9 total hours of trailer breakdowns we'll do heading into season 4, etc. Some bonus pods along the way for sure. But yeah, I think that this episode, you know, obviously across the season already, we've gotten not only big a battle like Gullet, but like Rhaenyra taking the throne in episode 2. That's not a battle, but is such a seismic, massive, monumental pivot point in the story and moment, and certainly has set piece aspects and quality to it. We had that structural and stylistic experimentation in episode 3, and this episode, in many respects, I think feels more traditionally Thronesian in its flow, but in a way that I find like quite welcome and like sinking into. In an Alicent and Ormund capacity, a very warm, familiar bath where I would just really love right now.
Oh, that was
a warm.
That was your bath pantomime. I was like, "What's happening right now?"
All the locations, all the characters, the blend of tone.
Did this happen on mic for Talk of Thrones or not? When Van asked us if he thought this season was more like that they were given a mandate to do something more Thronesy. I think this is off mic.
Off mic, yeah.
But I immediately agreed with him, and we've been talking around it a little bit, but I think that like, is it seeing a very recognizable set in the Eyrie, which they sort of like painstakingly recreated from the Thrones era? Is it the the uptick in humor?
Yes.
Is it sort of this lean into I don't know how to describe that it feels so different from like Blood and Cheese, which is this like shocking thing that happens in season 2, but like almost the rat banquet was more like, there's like a zeal for the, a bloodthirsty zeal for the weird gruesomeness of the world.
Yes.
Not just sort of like, isn't this the most bleak shit you've ever seen? It's like,
yeah,
lock the doors. It's the red wedding. And there's just like something, there's some pageantry to it that I think is really existent here. And so, I do think it's like, and as we noted, sexual assault aplenty, an unfortunate hallmark of Game of Thrones. But it really does feel like, not our fave, but like it really does feel like in many, many respects, and just by virtue of the story opening up the world, to your point, like all the different locations that were going on the map, it just feels like to not just be bouncing back and forth from King's Landing to Dragonstone, but to like...
It makes a big difference.
It does.
It makes a big difference to be at Harrenhal, to be in Tumbleton, to be up in the Vale, to feel the scope, and more than scope, the variance of the world. It makes it feel like we are properly, truly in Westeros. And I think that it's an impressive balance right now, midway through this season, of simultaneously giving us more of that familiar Thrones like essence, but also I think really orienting us in what is specifically House of the Dragon's mission and intent.
And what does that feel
like? The dragon stuff. I just think, I've brought it up a time or 400 on various Ringer podcasts over the years, but one of the things that made me fall in love with A Song of Ice and Fire and Thrones in the first place, and then great laments shared by many, of course, at the end of the series was kind of like losing a feel for the supernatural, fantastical elements. Ghost Who, I'm never over it and I never will be. Just everything with the White Walkers at the end, all of it. This episode gave us 3 distinct but related, really crucial snapshots of the bond between a rider and a dragon in a way that, like, as not only a House of the Dragon fan and Thrones fan, but a lover of fantasy worlds, like, really appreciate, right? And to be able to blend that with making more room for the comedy and the humor. There are still plenty of I think what you said about tone is really crucial. Like, there's a lot here that's still grim, but that's different from everything feeling so dour all the time, and I think they're doing a good job. And this is something I think the show always did well that we appreciated about it, but it is like humming at a new frequency right now, simultaneously pitting the teams and sides against each other. This was something we responded to in some of our favorite episodes of season 2 quite powerfully. The dissent and the turmoil inside of the factions, and then the surprising parallels across nominal enemy sets. That's when you can really feel that thematic richness and interest in the characters, the dynamic. And also, I think, like, we were talking about this, I think responded to it quite well in episode 3, but I feel like now we're going to just be in this place across the rest of the series. That's my hope. Where that initial investment in time with the history between the characters at the beginning of season 1 feels so worthwhile now in a way that I just appreciate.
Yeah, so, I think Rhaenyra walking around the dusty Lego set, means a lot. It means a lot to us that we know who Viserys is. It's very important that we know who Viserys was, Yeah. On that front, as I mentioned, we got a lot of emails sort of comparing character sets, and we'll get to sort of like the Alicent and Daeron stuff, and the Rhaena Aemon stuff. Like, all of that stuff is really good. I thought this email we got from Lauren this is to hop back to Otto's death in a previous episode, but comparing the death of the stag in season 1, the hunt episode, where Viserys kills a stag that is sort of like roped in and brought to him. Not the goal of the hunt.
Right.
This sort of consolation prize is this stag that Harwin Strong sort of delivers up to Viserys. And Viserys, with his Valyrian steel sword, makes a mess as everyone watches on and is like, is this our king? Really? Right? So comparing that death of that stag to Otto's death, Otto's decapitation, delivered up by Larys Strong, a different member of the Strong family, another Valyrian steel sword, and another sort of hack job. And to think about Rhaenyra being the one on that hunt to have seen the White Hart, you know what I mean? So it's just, so it's just sort of like, how far she's come from her early self and her early confidence. And I think this idea of confidence for Rhaenyra, Orwyle really sort of like hits in this episode where he's like, begging your pardon, your ass is on the throne. Yeah. Do you need the church? But like she's been so undermined for so long and so doubted that it's just gotten to her. But where is that Rhaenyra from season 1? That character, you know? And I understand why she's not that character because of what she's been through.
Yeah, I love thinking about that. I like the idea that the stag that the men pinned for Viserys was not the right target, and Otto is like a consolation prize as well, which is interesting. I think the fact that there was so much, thinking back to the wagon ride over, actually that ride over to the hunt was on my mind when in episode 3 Rhaenyra fell asleep in the carriage and Mosaria, and they had that conversation about the rage, the billowing rage inside of it, because I was always so struck in season 1 by Rhaenyra. There's such a tense family dynamic inside of the carriage ride over, but that like no one's here for me lament. And that was painful and hard to be on the outside of your proper inheritance, right? Because there's this new shiny thing. But it's also hard to be in the spotlight and at the center of things and have everybody observing everything you do all the time. It's like the inverse of it.
But it still feels like no one's there for her. You know what I mean? I was thinking, I meant to talk about this later, but like thinking about Alicent's 3 sons and where are they right now, right? So like Daeron is being groomed horribly by Ormund, right? And then Aegon's being led around by Larys. And then Alice, I think, has possession of Aemond. But there are these like 3 people who are, for better, for worse, or for their own ambition or whatever, have sort of like invested in a Targ Tower boy. But like, who's here for Rhaenyra? Is it Daemon? I don't ever trust that that's true, especially in this episode when he lies to her to protect someone else. Is it Mosaria? I don't know. So like who in that small council chamber is there for Rhaenyra?
Yeah. Well, and like on that Viserys front, I'm thinking now of Jason Lannister handing him the gilded spear and this gift because he was trying to secure Rhaenyra's hand, right? And so this idea of all of this like finery and the cosplay of power and import being what like Viserys cloaked himself in the performance of that moment, that feels so different. Even though Rhaenyra is receiving something from Daemon there, it feels so different from like Rhaenyra holding temporarily, that sword went back to Daemon as we talked about, but like holding the inheritance, literalizing that of like the power of their house, the lineage of their house, and then the prophecy. And so your question is an interesting one, Daemon, Mosaria. I think they each have versions of, I believed Mosaria last season when she said like, you are steadfast, I think, right? And I have like not seen that in the other leaders, that there was something genuine that led her to commit to Rhaenyra. Will it prove lasting? Difficult to believe that with any character, I think. Daemon, I think we both felt in season 2 that there was a genuine awakening for him. That the trials he went through at Harrenhal with Viserys, even when he said last week, like, I've made my peace, right? The way that he has opted into, I'm going to be a good boy now and do what you tell me, is still so fully through the lens of, I subbed, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did, for dreams and dragons made us kings, and now we should be gods. Which is like, yeah, he's saying, Rhaenyra, like, they'll bow to you, but it's about his sense of Targaryen might.
Yeah.
And so there's always something that can then pull somebody into another level of priority beyond just their allegiance to Rhaenyra, which has to be on Rhaenyra's mind. How could it not be?
Absolutely. Really quick run through what I'm calling Weekly Bard Corner.
Willie Shakes?
I did ask our listeners to come through with like Shakespeare quotes, and a number of them did. So shout out our listeners.
Love it.
But this is what they came up with for this week's episode. Ash wrote in with this line from Merchant of Venice. Shout out to our guy Ormund, right? Yeah. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose. An evil soul producing holy witness is like a villain with a smiling cheek, a goodly apple rotten at the heart.
Love this.
Perfect.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aiden, who was the source of the original sort of like Shakespeare quote, and William both wrote in with the same scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream, where Hermia is talking about her father, right? And she would say, I would my father looked but with my eyes. I wish my father could see me as I see me, with value, with my own heart, with my own decision, right? And Theseus says to Hermia in this very patriarchal fashion, she should treat her father as, quote, one to whom you are, but a form in wax by him imprinted and within his power to lead the figure or disfigure it. So like, this is such an episode about fathers and their legacies. Yeah. I thought William had this great line in his email where he says, legacies can be lighthouses, expectations can be fetters, golden or otherwise. In this way that like Daeron and Rhaena and Rhaenyra and Alyn and all these characters are thinking about like, how do I live up to what my father wants, or my, be it your actual father or your groomy father like Ormund is.
Right.
Last but not least, Joshua looking at that head on the table is like, let's talk about Hamlet. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Cool shout, Joshua. But Joshua's had like a couple points, but one of my favorites was talking about sort of the palace intrigue of it all, of Hamlet, and how Hamlet, there are so many moments where characters are being observed. Like when Hamlet gives his to be or not to be soliloquy, he's being watched in that very moment. And we've been talking about, and Joshua pointed this out in like last week's episode, we were talking about like all the shots where things were happening and members of the household staff were watching. Yeah. And inside of this episode, we get like Massaria sort of lingering outside the small council, to talk to Daemon. Whose head was that, right? But she was listening through that whole conversation that they were having inside the small council. Ulf sort of peeking his head around the corner into the small council chamber. So like, it's less overt than it was in last week's episode, but it's still the case that like when you're in the Red Keep, there are constantly eyes upon you, and act accordingly or don't, and see what happens.
Don't. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you for the Shakespeare quotes. Real fun stuff from our friends. Merchant of Venice, Midsummer Night's Dream, and Hamlet.
Bangers. Bangers only. I love it. Okay. What a fun opening snapshot. My goodness. It's time to head to the bowels of a pleasure den. It's time for the episode 4 deep dive. Opening credits update.
Torrhen Manderly? ? But we also still don't know who's standing next to him, which is such a weird thing. I have seen many people ask this question. Like, no one has really determined who this is standing next to Torrhen Manderly on the tapestry. I have to imagine it's someone like in the small council, or because it all seems to be like people in the Red Keep, right? But I have no idea who it's supposed to be.
Though, like,
maybe
kind of
Orwyle.
Oh, I was going to say Massaria.
But
it doesn't.
It looks like a Valarian's white hair, dark skin. That is what has been sewn onto the tapestry. And Orwyle, like maybe like a hood on Orwyle, maybe, but like unclear to me.
Very strange. I think this is just we need a higher bar for who makes the opening tapestry and when. It's as simple as that. With respect to Torrhen Manderly, who I'm glad is here.
I mean, he's part of the small council. Master of coin.
Come on.
Important guy.
Come on. I mean, Rook's rest and the sowing of the seeds, sure. Torrhen Manderly just got a new job. I think we need a higher bar than that. I did enjoy, I texted you this, but this time the splitting of the tapestry, the tearing of the thread, took the head off the bloody rat. Yeah. Which made me feel good 1 week later for having previously thought that
was a dead
clearly
guy.
the rat was Otto's decapitated body. So
shout out Preston.
Preston, you're doing great.
Do you think the renting of the cloth is meant to, foretell the coming of the cats and their claws?
It's just a huge moment for cat people everywhere to know that Alyn is a team cat. It's just wonderful.
Only cat. And one can only hope that the Red Keep is just teeming with cats for the rest of the season.
That would be fantastic. That would be wonderful. I love a cat, and it's always stressful when they're in thrones, but would welcome it here. All right. Taking over Tumbleton. Mm-hmm. Welcome to this new set, which is apparently the biggest set they have ever built for this show. This was from House of the Dragons built. Twice the size of the King's Landing set, they said.
That's insane.
Fascinating.
Because the Red Keep is like a set entire. Like they can walk all the way through the Red Keep. So yeah, they built the whole ass town, I guess.
Amazing stuff. Obviously, this is a crucial setting.
Tumbleton important.
It's an important place. And so investing in building it out, cool. Great stuff. A lot of really fun details in the House of Dragon built about this location and the level of detail. You always just admire the craft of the show when you get to see they're like, oh, we built this actual olive press, for example. And it's like, you didn't need to do that, but you did. I appreciate it.
I saw Fia, who's the actress who plays Helaena, was given, like, there was a little Instagram reel of her giving a tour of the dress she was wearing. And she's like, this is all hand sewn, beading embroidery. There's a dragonfly on each of my cuffs and a dragonfly here, and like lifts up her skirts. And she's like, here are all the underskirts. And it's just sort of like the level of detail on every single costume. It's just an incredible show.
It's amazing. This was also, we'll get to the actual sequence later, but Sunfyre, usually they do the blue screen couple folks holding sticks with the kind of loose shape of a dragon.
They built a dragon.
And it was so interesting to hear Tom talk about what the scales felt like and everything. And it's funny because seeing that, I was like, how did they do that? That looks like he is against a real, and he was. Wild stuff.
Like, we've seen Jurassic Park.
Exactly. I mean, who hasn't? We talked about this at the end of episode 3 because Chris was like, where's Tumbleton? And you broke out your map. You, just for now, your watch has ended because helpfully they've started putting characters in front of the map in the small council chambers. And so we can see inside of the show, okay, that's where Tumbleton is. That's where King's Landing is, which is great. I suspect your work will resume at some point, though.
It's important work.
It's crucial. It's crucial work. In case anyone didn't check out the episode 3 coverage, just a quick refresher on where Tumbleton is, what it is. Thriving market town, right? Very close to King's Landing, 60 leagues. So it's just southwest, like right there.
Yeah.
In the Reach still, but on the border with the Crownlands, the headwaters of the Mander. So there's just not far away. Not far away at all. There's a beautiful bunny. We open on this bunny.
It's a very odd moment. I mean, I understand. We're contrasting the sort of like pastoral innocence of the bunny,
the babbling brook, the buzzing of the insects, nature, peace.
That's your bath.
This is my bath. For the bath, I lean back. For the insects, no, this is more dragon. I guess insects would be more of like I don't know. I'll have to work on it.
Okay. I think there are 2 moments in this episode that, we just got done praising how beautiful it is, and it is beautiful. There are a couple moments where I was like, and the CGI bunny was one of them. And Daemon on the back of Caraxes when Caraxes is like, what's that then? And you see the sort of like the veil behind Daemon. That looked fairly funky green screeny to me, but like.
I was too distracted by shouting at Daemon to be nicer to Caraxes and to stop like slapping him with his gloves. Frankly, how dare he, to focus on the green screens. Thrilled to tell you that there's the actual bunny with a leash to not escape, jumping around, and then they took the leash out.
That was a real bunny?
I think so.
Oh, I watched The House of Dragons build. I missed it.
I think it's a real bunny.
Wow, that just disqualified all of my everything ever. Do we want to keep that on the podcast? Joanna thought the real bunny was CGI? Sure.
We can fact check it at the end and confirm. My brain is
you.
Totally addled. Claire summed it up by saying, basically, it's the Nazis entering France in terms of the Hightower army, 15,000 soldiers pouring in, and they are taking up residence in each citizen of Tumbleton's home. Now, our lens for feeling the invasion of this invasion, the invasive nature of the invasion, is through characters we know-ish. Cat, Hugh's wife, the brother we heard about for so long, Leo, and his family.
Yeah. Do you think they're named Kat and Leo? Is that a Titanic reference to Kate and Leo? I choose to believe it is.
Dare to dream.
We need Kate. We need Leo. We need them now.
That would be great.
Yeah. The unnamed sister-in-law, right? And then Leo.
Believe so. And I don't even think we knew Leo's name watching the episode. It was only like after.
And there's been a lot of conflict over what his character was called, but we've settled that it's Leo. But
yes.
Yeah, they're hauling lumber to increase their battlements, right? So they've taken over the town. They're sort of trying to fortify it, but Ormund's understanding is that Vhagar will be here any moment. Like our biggest dragon's coming, and so we don't have to worry that much. We can just put up a few logs and we'll be fine.
He's going to respond really well to the update that he receives on that front, though.
As always.
Nice and calm.
Even-tempered.
Measured. Hightower banners being raised across Tumbleton. And the use of the word carp, which I know was something that you found meaningful on the language front. Garrick, the
once and future rapist.
The once and future rapist and the assailant.
Because I have to believe when he's like, we're going to have a great time like we did in Honeyholds.
Oh, no question.
Yeah. He's like,
I've
raped before, I'm going to rape again.
Before he gets to the house, he's like ogling all the townspeople he passes.
Geld the shit out of that guy. That's what I have to say.
No question. Tells him, if you're not happy with this, carp to Lord Ormond, and they will, but with grave results. Thrilled to tell you it's time to talk about the bath scene. Lord and Lady Footly are here.
Mm-hmm. Big episodes for hats.
Yeah, what did you make of Lord Footly's hat?
Lord Footly is quite the hat, and then the one guy in Flea Bottom who can read, also had quite a hat on.
That was a wild hat.
Banger of a hat.
wild,
just
wild
like
hat.
a milliner's dream, honestly. Yeah, it's like a sort of very turban-esque kind of hat for both of those guys.
Yeah. A lot of silk and finery on Lord Footly for someone who apparently still smells enough to lead Ormond in a bathtub, presumably surrounded by like soaps and scented oils, to still recoil in horror. Once again, doesn't give a shit who he offends.
Not just soaps and oils. There's like active incense all around him. This is guy.
Do you think every Hightower loves a bath this much, or is it just Alicent and
Ormond?
Yeah.
I bet Gwayne loves a bath.
Oh, Gwayne. That's why he was like, get me to that inn.
Gwayne loves a bath.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Great stuff.
I just want to shout that Lord Footly is played by one of the actors who plays Ori the dwarf in The Hobbit. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how
sweet
fun.
Little face. Yeah.
Delightful. Lady Footly, really the one getting things done here. They're like, we're not happy that you are in our bedchamber. This is our space. And Ormond's like, listen, doing a coup is tired work. I need to be well rested and also clean and smelling great. Yeah. The power move of, it's not just that he's having this conversation with them while in the bath, which on its own would be astonishing.
Yeah.
And tell us a lot about him. All of the business is being conducted around him. Everybody is coming and going. And
it's not like there's a lot of bubbles in the bath. He's not hiding anything. And then, of course, he stands up. We got an email from our listener, Jonathan, who let us know that there was a BBC show, King and Conqueror, wherein both James Norton and another bath lover, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Jaime Lannister himself.
That's right.
Have a scene where they're taking baths in separate baths, but they're like in adjoining baths. And then they are set upon by someone. And Jonathan wrote they have to fight their way out Eastern Promises style.
Oh, hello.
So when are we
you have my attention.
And Jonathan sent a helpful screenshot, which I put in our notes many times.
How many times?
Accidentally on every page.
On every single page.
Accidentally.
I thought it was just a gift to me on a day you knew I was struggling. And you're like, here's this picture of these two beautiful shirtless characters.
But when are we doing a deep dive on King and Conqueror? That's the question.
I won't need much convincing after seeing this photo and hearing that summation. I'll tell you that.
Eastern Promises style is a real I really hope we get to watch that together.
It's a good log line. Very strong. Joe.
Yeah.
You know, we like to talk about the dream of work-life balance, but every now and then you got to multitask. So any feedback on the working desk over the bath? You know, he had not only the nose ball, the pomander, the wine.
Mallory, I know you listen to podcasts, work podcasts in the bath.
But it's for pleasure. It's the watch.
And I have done work in a bath before. Absolutely, I have. If you have a bath with like a proper I've yet to graduate to the sort of like that thing. That's like some real like bath luxury. Maybe for Christmas I will gift myself something like that. But like But maybe I shouldn't be doing work in the bath. That should be relaxing.
You should
time.
get one of those nice wooden shelves, but just put like candles and perhaps like a soothing tea.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Then why not?
Yeah.
Definitely not an iPad to do pod prep on.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Guilty.
You think Ormond listens to The Watch in the bathtub? What's his favorite podcast?
He's a real Greenwell guy. You know Ormond loves Greenwell. You know he does.
Oh, man.
When later in the episode, Ormund Hightower tells his traumatized ward, Daeron, that he needs to be firm but fair. Yeah. Do you think he was describing his tush?
Oh. It's entirely possible.
It is firm but fair.
Do you think the I'm going to bathe with everybody in the room around me is like, I want people to be uncomfortable and disarmed, or just I don't care, I'm confident, I'm arrogant, I'm the center of my world, I don't care? Yeah. Interesting stuff.
World's my oyster.
Yeah.
I'm in the Footleys' bedroom and I don't give a shit. I'm going to hack their table to pieces and I don't give a shit.
I want to know what you're a student of the world. What type of wood is that table made of that it held up? I somehow knew you'd have an answer prepared.
I don't know if that's right. Acacia's quite adorable.
It's a sturdy wood.
Yeah.
It's a sturdy wood. Great stuff. Ormond reminds them, the Footleys, and us, of course, that Tumbleton sided
I was just looking
with...
at outdoor furniture and I was like considering some acacia.
Well, in Los Angeles, you got to think about, like, what's going to hold up in that heat.
Mhm.
Is acacia a good wood for that purpose?
I think so. I'm less concerned about the cold weather here in Los Angeles as I would be up north. So it's a different climate. Okay.
Tells them, Tumbleton sided with the Pretender. That's what he refers to Rhaenyra as.
Yeah.
So basically, he's like, be glad I took your bedchamber and not your heads, right?
Mhm.
That's the vibe. She is the queen. That's what Lady Footly says. Is she? Or is she a bitch with a dragon? Ormond, I would say, is very efficient. Sexism, targ racism.
Tick.
It's all right there in just several words.
Correct.
Several words. Steps up from the tub, the tush, the Hightower on full display, and tells them, my purpose is to restore the rightful line to the Iron Throne. So we have that my purpose language later. He's going to say things to Daeron. It's all very running in parallel to Rhaenyra and the way that Rhaenyra talks about this ordained by the gods standing, right? Rightful line. I think it's safe to say from everything we hear from Ormond and see from Ormond across the episodes that we've spent with him so far.
He means ginger and clad in green.
He just means the Hightowers, folks. He's happy to use a Hightower targ to get there and use the dragon as a tool. But this is not about I remain a loyal soldier for Aegon and Team Green.
One king is as good as another.
He told us right away.
Yeah. Aegon won't work. We'll wait for Aemon. Aemon's
right
on here.
Away.
Guess what? I got a third one in the pocket. It's fine. And this one is actually my favorite choice because the one that I have most control over. Daeron just sort of trying to escort Lady Footly from the chamber and she like flips out and he just like recoils.
Yeah.
Because he's such a sweet boy.
Yeah.
And, we talked a lot about this actor on Talk the Thrones. Good old Benjamin. But just what he does in his nonverbal opportunities inside of this episode does so much character work for us.
Excellent.
And that's just like one of many, many moments. Just like his eyes, which are like filled with tears for like half the episode.
Yeah.
Is Uncle Gwayne coming?
Oh
Is Galadriel here? Is Gwayne coming to Tumbleton?
Incredible. He is so
my nice uncle, my non-rapey uncle.
I know. I mean, don't we all long for Gwayne, ultimately?
Apparently.
I just love Gwayne. I love Freddie Fox. We had clocked the use of sire before this character was confirmed as actual Daeron in the first episode. And now, extra astonishing given what we know and what we've gotten to see across half a season here, the guy with the god complex forcing the actual prince who he's about to make king to call him sire. Honestly, it tells us as much as anything we see from Ormond here.
Alternate theory.
Tell me.
In the behind the episode, Claire Kilner described their relationship as Daeron being in his thrall.
Yes.
I'm putting the vampire Ormond back on the table. He's an evil man in his thrall. The vampire Ormond. Have we seen him in the sunlight? Yes, but I don't care.
But Armand's a daywalker, so it still fucking fits.
It does fucking
fit. Nailed it. You nailed it.
You've convinced me.
I love this. Bold John. First of all, quickly, I'd like to say thanks to everyone for the very warm reception to the bowl cut photos that I posted on Instagram. That's not really the headline news. Thanks to the legions of you posting in the comments about how hot my mom is.
Oh my God, I missed this.
Well, she has seen it.
Oh, is she thrilled?
She's processing. Boris Baratheon. Your long time, I think, canonically established on House of our favorite character. Mentioned, Joe.
Absolutely not. As you know, that I'm a Larys loyalist.
It's true.
So much that a listener sent me a Larys thirst trap TikTok, and I appreciate it. Also, like, someone sent an email where they were like in the headline, they're like, Joe, this email's about Larys to like get me to click. It worked.
Yeah, did it. There you go.
Yeah, Boris Baratheon Canonically busy during this time in the war. Something's happening.
Making himself busy.
I'm too busy. Sorry.
I liked the capturing this here with the excuses, more excuses, which just then led to a string of quite rude remarks from Ormond about Boris's, again, canonically established illiteracy and the ugliness of his family members. Ormond, not a charitable guy. Not
really
nice.
Tough. A bigger episode for hats or literacy? because Larys can read.
Great question. That's
Ulf
right.
cannot read.
The lean in from Ulf of like, you're about to say what that says?
Ulf's like, yeah, I can definitely see. Yeah.
I thought that the thing that for me, the Boris mentioned most achieved actually was just like reminding us. It's a couple things. One, it's like the show always has work to do of just kind of reminding us who is technically in the story.
Right.
Who we haven't seen in a really long time. So it does that, but just reminding us because we've been, tracking this, like, are you giving your supporters what they need question across many interactions. And that was how Rhaenyra lost Boris. And maybe she would have anyway because Aemond was there with something to offer, but that's part of it, something to offer. Yeah, it does.
His fair but for himself.
Don't call fair but firm. Exactly. Don't, like, call me to heel and talk to me this way. Giving us like Boris
you need
mention,
me, except for when the battle actually starts, and then I'll be like, I'm
that's
busy.
The other thing this achieved, and especially in an episode, I think where Daemon had to go up to the Vale to say to Jeyne, she's like, well, why the fuck do you need my men? Isn't the war over? It's all you keep talking about, you big dummy. Great stuff. Jeyne is crushing.
Fantastic.
And Daemon's like, actually, we just need your money now, which I also have some notes on. This question of like, what good is a pledge once made if it's not backed up with action?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that both sides have to think about, and we got little reminders of that. Boris is not giving Ormond and the Greens what they need. Is everyone giving Team Black what they need? No. So this is a shared plight in individual context.
And I do like House Lannister got their forces got wiped out by the Riverlanders and the Winter Wolves.
Fish feed.
So that's what happened to House Lannister. I mean, Lannisters are still alive. Joanna Lannister still going strong, but like their forces wiped out.
Yeah.
Greyjoys were mentioned. I just feel like they're hitting like those thrones names. So we're like, where are the Baratheons right now? What are the Greyjoys doing? You know?
Yeah.
We know them.
That's right.
Tyrells.
Man, remember when we got to go up and be in the north for a couple minutes at the beginning of season 2? That was great.
I do. I remember when they made
Wonderful
that like
stuff.
their entire like, this is what season 2 is about.
I do.
Just kidding.
I do. Ormond is on everyone's minds, Joe, not just ours.
Everyone's talking about Ormond.
Everyone's
From
talking
Harrenhal
about Ormond.
to King's Landing to Tumbleton.
Rhaenyra is preoccupied with this, rightly so. The Black Council is considering this question. And we do have a new character in the show, member of the Queen's Guard, finally. This is Sir Adrian Redford.
What did you call him when you texted me?
Harwin Light. And I don't think it's an accident. He looks so much like Harwin.
Harwin Week.
Harwin Week. You followed up with the Breakbones reference there, which was important and crucial. They're styled similarly. They look alike. It just feels like they must have done this deliberately, but who knows? Rhaenyra's like, why Tumbleton, a market town? It's not fortified for battle. Why? He dares me to rain fire down on a seat that raised my banner. Just hearing that already, we're like on instinct, thinking of Dany, thinking of the bells, right? The realm would name me Maegor returned. They'd rise up against me. And this is like a smart thing for Rhaenyra to be considering, right? A reasonable worry to have. The fact that this also shows us that Ormond shares passion for the Hightower family business of like thinking about PR. This was such a central aspect of Otto's character. Pissed at Aegon because he hanged all the rat catchers and people were going to be pissed. But what did that undo? The hard work Otto did of organizing the Jaehaerys funeral procession, which led to the citizens of King's Landing chanting, led by a herald, Rhaenyra the Cruel.
Right. So
we have proof inside of the show of how quickly something, whether it's real or not, Blood and Cheese was not actually of Rhaenyra's design, and it didn't matter. She was still blamed. If something is of her design, what will the reaction be?
Earlier, we talked about this when Rhaenyra and Mysaria went on their rutabaga quest, and Daemon said, "As a gesture only." Yes, and gestures matter, right? And so, like, Rhaenyra is somewhat aware, but not aware enough. She's just bad at this game. There are things that Rhaenyra is great at, but this PR game, the Hightowers outstrip her at every turn, I would say. Like, Ormond doing his big show of like, we'll geld this guy. Yep. Like, it's fine, people of Tumbleton. I am here for you. You know what I mean? And Rhaenyra's like, the graffiti, that's bad. Yes. I'm going to give the gold cloaks no specific instructions. Just say,
or payment.
Make it go away.
Yeah.
And then,
Yep.
that goes disastrously for her because she's just not thinking through all of the ramifications of the PR battle. And once again, that graffiti moment is so interesting to me because, like, again, to go back to Ormund saying, like, do you need the church to know? It's like, do you need to flip your lid about a little bit of graffiti?
Right.
Like, is that what you need to be that insecure about that? Right. And again, I understand why Rhaenyra is in that place, but like, it's not doing her any favors right now.
Yeah, it's tough. Says that the gods also would rightly cast her down. I was struck by this just because it felt like a potential silver lining in a otherwise very worrying chosen one god complex circumstance where it's like mostly that fanaticism is dangerous. It allows you to justify atrocities and decisions. But like, could it be a check? Could it be a check potentially on bad choices and bad impulses? Does it matter if it can be, if the overall path is still the same? It's kind of interesting. Our guy Orwyle is just very practical. He's looking for solutions, right? He says, redirect Daemon's rivermen. Let's root out the Hightowers house by house. Mysaria's vibing with it, right? It won't be bloodless, but...
That doesn't sound like a good idea to me, honestly.
Well, and also then they end up, Rhaenyra's like, wait, well, let's just to keep vigil, but we're going to send a dragon anyway, right? Now... It's an intimidation tactic. It's a monitoring tactic, right? Awareness, potentially a deterrent, though, of course, there's also a dragon inside of Tumbleton.
But a much smaller one.
Much smaller one.
Than Vermithor or Silverwing.
No question. And at the end of the day, it's a dragon perched there on the town you don't want to burn because you know your nemesis is trying to incite you to do exactly that.
I do think sending a big fuck-off dragon to go watch the town is not a terrible idea.
Should have had a dragon tracking them every step of the way, frankly.
Correct.
Oh, man. Orwyle Joe gets to keep his title of Grand Maester and gets an official invite here to the council.
Small ball? No, we're not doing that?
End of an era. End of an era.
R.I.P. small ball era.
It's nice to have an excuse, not that we need one, to think about our guy bees.
I'm wearing my honeycomb earrings for House Beesbury.
Fantastic stuff.
We'll talk about why in a little bit. But I'm thinking about my guy Lyman. But I do like again, it's these political animals thing. Orwyle as a political animal is really interesting to me because, like, later when he's like, "Oh, are we killing this? Oh, we're not killing the sept. Oh, I never thought you were joking about killing the sept.
Moment.
But I will if you. But no, okay.
Rhaenyra just doing the like I was not familiar with your game meme in response to that. Loved it.
But like small ball, no. Oh, relic of a bygone era. Fuck it,
right.
No. Torrin, like when Daemon comes in, he's like, I'm the clever one in here. And he's like, of course
noted.
You are.
Yeah. Heard.
Sure. Of course you are. Yes.
Heard, chef.
Political animals.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really interesting. This sort of like, how does an Orwyle make it through 3 administrations?
Yeah. And what are those political animals clocking and respecting in each other is interesting to watch in this episode. Orwyle and Mysaria observe each other.
Because she backs his plan. She's like, sounds good.
Yeah. And then later he's like, oh, in response to some of what she suggests. This is very interesting here. I think that was the name a master of coin just to scapegoat him. And Orwyle was like, oh, I see. You're a serious player here.
Game recognized. Yeah. Game.
Yeah.
Gotta step it up.
Joanna, who is not in attendance?
Oh, Corlys.
The council is thin. And this is when Mysaria offers up the recruitment plan. Master coin. And I thought this was interesting that she wasn't like, just in case things like we can't, she's like, they're already shit. It's just a matter of when people discover it.
Yeah.
So from the word go, it's a setup for Doran to take the blame.
Mysaria, PR master, honestly.
Very thoughtful about it. Rhaenyra's suggestion here is rat banquet enthusiast Torrin Manderly. Now, we saw in episode 3 that he is, I would say, an astute observer of manners, of tactics, and also unafraid to call out BS. Like he said to Rhaenyra.
What did she say? He intrigued me, right?
She says that he intrigued her. And I was thinking back to him saying to her, like, almost like they're, it might be enough to like let you forget that it was your blockade.
She was like intrigued by him telling truth to her. Telling truths to her.
Yeah.
That intrigued her. Alyn tells some truths to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she's like kind of trying to, again, and this is where I want to give Rhaenyra credit, surround herself with people who will tell her the truth.
Yes.
Though Torrin Manderly in his new capacity on the small council is just sort of like, Oh, sure. That's a clever one.
Well,
Sure.
and part of what she's so desperate for is like people who have an opinion and an idea and a plan, you know, to go back to last week's the useless reaction to like whatever the queen thinks.
Corlys isn't there. Does it make any difference? Not so much because he was useless there before, I guess.
I think it makes us wonder if Manderly feels like the kind of character who will be scapegoatable. You know, he seems pretty attuned.
Canny.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I like that Rhaenyra, even though she in real time responded with like, I have a long memory, you know, fuck off.
He intrigued me.
Yeah, respected the hustle. Not officially a member of the small council, but let's be honest, an advisor in all but name, Alicent Hightower. And so Rhaenyra seeks Alicent out in the Godswood. The background of this conversation in this scene, Helaena and Jaehaera just playing, which like in real time when you're watching this scene for the first time, it pulls on the heartstrings. But given the tension of the pregnancy reveal at the end, my God. I mean, to rewatch that was like, whoo, boy. Rhaenyra wants intel on Ormund, Joe. And Alicent says she barely knows the guy. And Rhaenyra, who just introduced herself last episode to her own half-brother, probably should be like, makes sense. Alicent has been at court since she was a kid.
I'm your half-sister.
Would you say that Alicent, given the reminder here, that she barely saw Ormund after she came to court at King's Landing, and also we learn in this episode that Ormund not responding to Otto's letters,
I have some questions
some
about
theories
that.
and questions. Yeah, well, we can. There's some other reads on that potentially, but it's not like because we know we do know definitively Alicent only saw Daeron once in the last 5 years. They weren't visiting.
She hasn't
in
been
touch regularly.
summering in Old Town.
Did you say she's pining for a city? She doesn't even know. That's an Odyssey joke.
Wow.
Great stuff. All right, Rhaenyra is like, okay, fine. Tell me what you do know. There's this impatience, a very understandable one, because there's so much to do. And from Rhaenyra's perspective, so few people she can rely upon to help her to get information and make progress here. All right, tell me what you do know. The impatience with Ulf and Hugh in the later scenes was so funny, but you also do really, I think, effectively feel the stress in those moments.
When I can pay you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm actually here for another reason, but like, noted. And Joe, we hear what from Alicent about Ormund? Take us through this description. This was fascinating.
He loves a bath. He hates smelly things, but also he's a scholar.
That's right.
Studies the histories. He collects tapestries, writes ballads, despises the ignorant and the uncouth. So Viserys, which we talked about, right?
Yeah. Histories for sure, tapestries.
What is a tapestry if not a Lego you put on the wall? You know what I mean? And then Daemon, we've also seen like digging through the scrolls.
Yes,
so,
specifically with the scholarship for Daemon, more the like obsession with his own Targaryen and Valyrian lineage. Yeah. I'd say Daemon, you could make the case if you really wanted to stretch it. He's a ballad enthusiast. He serenaded Vermithor. This guy loves music.
He did.
Certainly despises the lesser. He has no patience for people he thinks are beneath him. So this is interesting to get some comps to both brothers there.
I think it's interesting to hear all the Hightowers talk about each other inside of this episode. So like we will hear Gwayne talk about Ormund when we get to Harrenhal. But here Alicent is not just talking about Ormund, she's talking about what Gwayne thinks of Ormund.
That's
Thought
right.
him cruel.
Yes.
So if we think that like Ormund physically or at the very least mentally has been abusing Daeron, did he do the same to Gwayne, who is a younger relative of his? Like, was Gwayne his sort of like whipping boy before Daeron was? And then did Gwayne do anything to intercede on behalf of Daeron?
Right.
And
is that why Daeron's so
Daeron's like, is
Gwayne
coming to Tumbleton? Because like Daeron, who has been like molded as Ormond's ward, but is still such a nice boy. Like, it feels like there has to have been some insulation there between Ormond and Daeron. And I have to imagine that it was like, hey, should we not rape women, Gwayne? The closest thing we have to like a moral Hightower, I guess. But like thinking about the timeline of like Gwayne was there in Old Town until quite recently.
That's right. Yeah. He's the one who offers up the report on Daeron's character to Alicent, which also we see enough from Daeron directly to just the tenderness with which he's nuzzling to Sarian. And
he's a good boy.
My girl, clearly a good boy, clearly kind, but also
He also loves a ballad.
He's no question. The loot, I
The
believe.
loot, yeah.
This is like another kind of confirmation that Gwayne is a good judge of character, right? Which feels important too for Gwayne. Like he said Daeron was nice, we should believe him. That Daeron was kind, we should believe him. He says Ormund's cruel. We see clearly that that is legit.
But yeah, just the idea of like Gwayne, who maybe was bullied or tormented by Ormund himself when he was younger, doing what he can to to protect Daeron, and then not being there anymore.
Right.
And Daeron is now more vulnerable than he's ever been. And it's just him and fucking yes man John Roxton. And
he has to take refuge in his dragon bond. He can't let Ormund make him feel like shit about this core aspect of his identity.
Right, but Ormund's like, I told you not to fucking nuzzle that beast. What are you doing?
I mean, I love a villain, and so I want Ormund to be here. But when he walked into that sept and Tessarion roared at him, I was like, get his ass, girl! Roast him! Roast him! That description of Ormund, it's interesting because we've talked about the Valyrian steel sword, the gorgeous armor. He's dressed for war.
The velvet. Green velvet.
The cape. That description's not giving warrior to me, but it is giving conqueror, right? It is giving, I'm thinking about my pursuit and advancement.
Tywin, which is the comp that the show keeps wanting to make.
Talk about a wonderful cape. When dressed for battle. I remember thinking about that.
Do you think
him on that horse, like, wouldn't you just get caught in the fabric and maybe fall off?
Would you like to see Ormund ride into some throne room or another and just drop a deuce?
Yeah, Ormund drop a deuce or the horse?
The horse.
Because he would be a horse.
He would be a horse. But actually, he would abhor a deuce. He would be like, what does that smell? Assassinate that horse.
That Tywin throne room moment is still to this day one of my favorites. The battle is over. We have won. How's Ormund with Daeron, Rhaenyra asks. And this was fascinating, Joe. Did it pain Alicent to send him away? And Alicent reveals to Rhaenyra it was her choice. What did you make of this?
I thought this was really interesting, very sad. Again, we've talked about Alicent's sorrow and like joy in hearing that Daeron is a good boy.
Yeah.
But also the sorrow that comes with it is like, okay, all the kids that were raised away from me.
Right.
The kid that was raised away from me is a good kid.
Right.
And I raised Aegon and Aemond.
Right.
And, poor Helaena. And
the thing that she said in response to Gwayne in the 6th episode of season 2 was it the court or their mother? And that is, agonizing to confront.
We got many emails. You were asking this question on Talk the Thrones of like, is Daeron actually a ginger, or is Ormund dyeing his hair red?
Yeah.
And we got a lot of emails from listeners wondering, is Daeron's red hair the reason he was sent away from court? Because if Alicent is making this case against Rhaenyra and her bastard boys based on the fact that they've got this partially based on the fact that they've got this like dark, strong boy's hair, and then she pops out a redheaded baby, and she's like, get that redhead out of here. It undermines my whole hair, the seed is strong argument, This
is such a great shout. Nobody liked to look at the hair color in minute 1 quite like Alicent Hightower.
It's true.
It's a great shout from the bad babies here. That was incredible. I found myself it was upsetting when we first heard Alicent voice this question and this doubt in season 2, but I found it like a different degree of despair. Daeron, it's kind of like true and not true, right? On the one hand, Daeron is a better guy than Aegon and Aemond.
Bars in hell, but yeah, he clears it.
Fair, yeah. Yeah.
Daeron seems like a lovely boy.
He does. But to see, like, if only Alicent knew, this is no life. This is no better, happier life for Daeron. This is misery. This is turmoil to see what Ormund is subjecting him to. And that just broke my heart. Like, what would she feel if she knew that? It made me very sad for her and for Daeron and for all of them. Like, he wasn't actually spared. He was just exposed to a different type of cruelty than the one that he would have been exposed to growing up in the Red Keep in King's Landing.
Absolutely. And not only that, but put into, and we got a lot of emails and a lot of people commented on this, and we'll sort of like hit it a bit more as we discuss the episode, but the parallels between young Daeron and young Alicent and the way in which Alicent was taken away from her home and molded and shaped by her father, groomed by her father in many ways to be like, put on your dead mom's dress and go read to the king, like all that shit. And in order for Otto to get closer to the throne.
To advance, yeah.
And the way in which Daeron is under very similar circumstances. And a lot of people have noted they feel like the actor that they've cast to play Daeron looks like Emily Carey, who played young Alicent and stuff like that, and there's like blocking parallels and all this sort of stuff like that. So it's like she did to her, trying to protect him, she did to her youngest son what was done to her.
Oh, God. Very grim.
You hate to see it.
One of the things that Otto would say to Alicent in those early season 1 episodes, stop like picking at your nails, right? Picking at your cuticles. And the fact that Alicent is doing that again and was doing it in this scene.
So tough that the nail picking is back.
Man. Alicent says, I don't know now. What fate that choice has consigned him to, Daeron. And Rhaenyra takes a beat, looks around, takes in the air, and then says, I would have spared him. And it has this feel, I think, of like trying to convince herself, hoping that it would be true. Hoping it would be true. And for Rhaenyra, and then for Alicent, who was the author of the You Are the Challenge sequence with Aegon back in the day, which of course is on our minds in many respects in this episode, and said to Rhaenyra last week, this is going to change you. And you can tell me that it won't.
You will do things you never thought possible.
You will do things you never thought. So like kind of this tandem of wanting to believe that human heart and her friend is still there, but having seen enough to know inevitably what the seat of power, but also the nature of the realm, the order of things idea again.
You and I had like slightly different interpretations of this. I don't think that I'm not confident enough in mine to say that you're wrong or anything like that. But your interpretation of this was that Alicent is
doubts Rhaenyra.
Yeah. And offers up this information about Ormund as like a
still trying to get out of
protection.
Here. Yeah.
That could be the case. I thought I saw it as like there's my friend and I will help my friend. Maybe that's too sunshine and lollipops for what's going on here. But I think there's also another possible interpretation to what Rhaenyra says, which is like, I would have spared him. But like, can she do it now that he's caught up in this Tumbleton business? Now that he's part of this gambit, like that's off the table.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oof. God. Jeez. Little eats, shoots, leaves, emphasis on the wrong syllable stuff. I love it. This is where Alicent offers up that the very sensitive to odors info, and just genuinely can't wait to
see how that plays out. This is not in the book, so like we have no idea how this is going to pay off, but it's got to pay off. There's no way speculate. It's in every scene that he's wafting, nice smelling things in his nose for it to not come back.
We're going to hit some theories in the book section on that front. I'm excited. Corlys, meanwhile, just is like, Alyn, why don't you just do a little Hand of the Queen internship for a minute?
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. This is insane. Hand of the Queen, Hand of the King is like, it's like Robert Baratheon took his entire household up to Winterfell to ask Ned Stark to do this because you need it's a very important job and you need the person in that role. I'm not going to say the guy, but like the person in that role. You need that guy, non-gender. To just be like, oh, it's Alyn now? And I don't think Alyn is Hand of the Queen because he's not wearing the pin, but he's sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
He's on the small council. Now, here's why from like a TV writing perspective I like this. Because we'll get the Alyn and Rhaenyra scene and we can talk about that. And I talked about on Talk of Thrones how it was like one of my favorite scenes because I had just been complaining about how every single Alyn scene was just sort of like about his, they're still talking about his dad, but about like his legacy, the naming, like this, he was like a one-note character. But to give him that Rhaenyra scene around the Viserys Dusty Lego sets, but then like to have him on the small council really gives the show an opportunity to give Alyn more to do. And that is a character much more than Corlys at this moment who needs screen time, who needs fleshing out, who needs deepening. Yeah. So if I'm sitting in the writer's room and I'm like, this doesn't happen in the book, we'll just send Corlys off to murder a bunch of pirates.
I cannot believe we told Chris we were done with the triarchy, and then Corlys is like, I got to go hunt down some triarchy remnants.
Forever.
We will never be done with
this
fuckers.
Isn't in the book, but they're like, yada, 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 Corlys is off, Alyn's sitting on the small council. Genuinely an insane thing to do. But from like a TV writing point of view, I'm like, I relish the opportunity to spend more time with Alyn.
I think that's a great shout, and like, I like as well that Alyn, when he says to Corlys is like, well, the giving you my name thing didn't work out quite like I was hoping it would, but you can learn.
He doesn't even tell Rhaenyra though. He's just
he's out. He's a horse.
He's like, you'll sit on the small council. Bye.
Yeah.
And it's like, Alyn's like, I guess that's my job to tell Rhaenyra that you're gone and you appointed me.
Armored up. All of his men are a horse and they are ready to go find the Triarchy. They miss them. They can't quit them. I like Alyn. I like Alyn's reluctance as a character beat too. Like he's like, I'm not a creature of court. This is not, I don't have not only the experience, but I don't have really the desire.
Right.
To do this, so that's fun.
So not a political animal
which
on
is
the
a
council.
different energy from a lot of the people at that table who are thinking about advancement. And Alyn has different motivations and just a different relationship to the idea of power and proximity to power. So that's potentially very interesting. I thought that Corlys, even though like you said, this doesn't happen in the books. I honestly I was like, what is going on here for a couple reasons, like having Corlys leave, the Alyn thing that you noted. I do think it fits inside of the show that Corlys is a character who responds to things going poorly at home by being like, back off to war,
He's done it before.
Remember when he disappeared for 6 years after
100%.
So
no, it's his,
I guess it tracks
it's his
in that
favorite
sense.
thing to do.
It really is.
Sure.
And then, so Alyn says here, the payoff of this comes in the later Alyn scene with Rhaenyra, but he says, anger's not something that can be ended with a blade, right? He's trying to continue to provide, as he has, this wisdom to his father. He kind of comes in with the inverse of that later to Rhaenyra.
Well, he's like, sometimes young men are full of seed and they've got their blood up. Yeah. They got their blood up and they got to go punch something.
Exactly. And I thought it was interesting that I think when he says this here to Corlys, he believes it, but he still found the kind of generosity of spirit to defend Corlys to Rhaenyra later. And also hand, knows it's true.
Defend, but also just sort of isn't this really where you want my dad anyway right now?
Yeah. And that's how Corlys justifies it. He's like, this is how I can help. Yeah. But is it? Rhaenyra needs him there to advise her. I'm really curious to see what they do with this, genuinely.
We have a lot of questions.
We never have questions about whether we want to be with Larys. I mean, Larys and Aegon and now Sunfyre, sweet Sunfyre puppet that they built for this.
Sweet Sunfyre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can't blame the dragons for their people.
Okay.
Too many dragons across the canon have riders who are a hero, and then that person is gone, and then their next rider is a villain, or vice versa. And obviously, they do then form the connection and channel the love and hate of the rider. That's an interesting thing.
So Sunfyre having a role in Meleys's death is
oh no, that's completely Aemond and Vhagar. Sunfyre a role. Aegon flew into battle, took Sunfyre, who was not prepared for this, and then Sunfyre immediately got cut open, shredded, and then they got roasted, and Aegon's cock exploded like a sausage.
But we saw in this episode, I'm sorry, I'm not here to vilify Sunfyre, but we saw Caraxes just be like, Daemon, I'm going to do what I want. Dragons can do what they want. And Sunfire's like, battle sounds great.
Yeah, it's ready.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Vhagar's the one who bit Meleys' neck.
I said a role. I didn't say I killed Meleys, but I'm just saying I find it weird to be like, oh, cute, darling. I love the dragons.
Yeah.
But to say cute, sweet, darlingest Sunfyre who never did a wrong thing, all of these dragons are engaged in these battles.
Yeah, they're weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
All of them.
And sweetheart little cutie faces too.
Sweet, beautiful Sunfyre. I just think that it's interesting. It's actually kind of why I think that the Sunfyre thing in particular with Aegon over seasons 2 and 3 has been interesting. It's one of the only moments that we feel, I think, almost reflexive warmth toward Aegon. When they nuzzle their little faces before Rook's rest, and then watching Aegon's despair here.
No, I agree. This is the most humanizing stuff we get from Aegon. I don't disagree. But I think I would caution, not you know everything about dragons, but I just think in general, when we get Tessarion at the end of the episode and we see Daeron nuzzling Tessarion, we're just like, oh, and my sweet girl, we will fly again. All this other stuff. But what does it end with? The torch and the crunch.
Roast and the corpse.
Yeah, the crunch.
It was already dead.
Dragon's gonna dragon. You know what I mean? They're not puppies. They're not horses.
No,
they're not slaves. You know, you cannot know the mind of a dragon. They are dangerous creatures.
There is a reason that our boy Criston Cole has been in a state of complete existential dread since being exposed to dragon war. It's all very sad. Very, very, very sad. It's almost like you shouldn't wage a dragon war. And it's almost like the only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself. Thank you for these wise words of wisdom in the opening scene of this series. Aegon seeing, this is so we should remember he's unconscious because of the grave nature of his injuries. So this is his first. We've talked a lot about like what you need to see in order to understand and accept, right, what has happened. Aegon didn't like see Sunfyre after Rook's rest. He was taken back in crates, gravely wounded and on the brink of death to King's Landing. So he's seeing this for the first time, processing this for the first time. He's just heard. He's also back at Rook's Rest, the site of his ruin. It's a lot to process. And
The very fire that burned his cock to smithereens.
Exploded.
Burst.
Like a sausage on a spit. A sausage on a spit. My boy, I'm here. I'm here. And there's this group, Joe, of entrepreneurial monsters, is how I'm referring to them. They see a business opportunity, but I of course, find this disgusting.
This is straight out of the book. Not this moment, but like
Yes.
this happens elsewhere in the book storyline where people are like, a penny a
A
pig.
penny. That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's
Like,
right. Penny to touch the dragon, more to sit the saddle. Charges 2 pennies because Aegon has both hands on Sunfyre. Certainly an indicator of what the Targaryens are courting with this war. A magical creature, a symbol of Targaryen power, a godly proximity, might.
The
turned into
golden
a
dragon.
golden
the
dragon.
most beautiful dragon that ever dragoned.
Turned into a carnival attraction, right? A penny to touch. Certainly mirroring on that the most beautiful dragon front, mirroring this is mirroring of Sunfyre and Aegon and what has happened to them, the golden princeling piece of shit, but golden princeling, and now, going to be called Mangleface by this piece of shit Janos and in mere scenes. Like how we get to a future where asshole prince sees a puppet show and reacts the way that he reacts, right? This story is all connected, even though it's over hundreds and hundreds of
So
years.
you're like, Arian had some points.
Nah, I think I'm going to leave that to Chris.
Arian Brightflame made some good points.
I think I'm going to leave that to Chris. Joe, did you think that the bearded gentleman seemed like he recognized Larys? He kept looking at him.
Yeah.
That seems to me like worrying and like something that's probably going to be an issue.
I will say this. Photos don't exist, so people don't, no one knows what color Daeron's hair is. Like, there's a lot that people don't know. But we gave
Right.
Alicent and Helaena a lot of shit for their shitty costumes. And I will just say, Larys, what attempt has he made to disguise himself?
Yeah.
Aegon at least has like a hood up.
I mean,
Larys is a bit recognizable, and he's just sort of like out there looking the same as he always has.
the garb is still too fine.
Though I will say, again, the Larys thirst trap TikTok that someone sent me, the gist of which was the gods bless you for being loyal to the one true king, and it shows with a glow up, and it shows Larys in King's Landing versus Larys on this season on the road, and it's true that like his hair is like less greasy.
It's very full.
Yeah. He looks a bit better than he has
He
the
does.
previous seasons.
Yeah.
The fresh
if only
air agrees with
Aegon
him.
could say the same.
There are ways in which Aegon does
And have his hands covered in the piss for the tanners and the shit for the farmers
I don't know.
before
Seeing
long.
Aegon humbled makes him more attractive to me than Aegon,
I quite agree.
I
quite agree.
menacing.
Quite agree. Joe, on the is this good for your disguise and for remaining incognito front, where would you rank speaking High Valyrian in clear earshot of other
Seems
people?
also like he knows more Valyrian than he like
When
the
he
whole
got
thing,
dunked on by
by
Aemond.
Aemond in the council meeting. I was like, where did all this Valyrian come from?
Granted, he only like spit out a couple words here, but you're right. It wasn't totally embarrassing
Has
the
he
way
been,
that
like
it was.
studying while he was convalescing?
Make a war? He's alive. I know it. He's alive. He must be. Sunfyre, wake up. Sunfyre, I'm here. Wake up. Sunfyre, I'm here. Then he speaks High Valyrian. Larys is quite alarmed by this. Gregor, he's simple. Carlos, can we see what Larys says to Aegon after this?
I am very sorry, but you must accept what is before you. Wake up. You wanted to see him. You've seen him. He's dead. No. Will you stay and rot with him? Will you get up and live?
Devastating. I was waiting for that guy to be like, that's going to be a third penny. Honestly. Oh man, I guess he just the moments we talked about this in Talking of Thrones, but through line across this episode of the moments where characters, different circumstances in each case, in some way, however well intentioned or not, discount something about
misunderstand
the
connection between a writer and his dragon.
Yeah, which goes all the way back to Alicent when Aemond was young.
Yeah, but like Daemon does in this episode where he's like, Rhaena, let's go home. And she's like, no, I am him, he is me.
That's
like,
right.
We are bonded. Yeah.
I thought that the Daemon one, because he should certainly know better, was the most striking. This Larys one is kind of out of need to preservation, but still. Ormond obviously is just a complete Targ bigot, so that one is.
You get up and live, I think, is a really beautiful potential sentiment, misunderstanding what's going on. I will just say this:
you love Larys.
I do. Meleys looks much more decomposed than Sunfyre does. That's all I'll say about that.
They did chop off Meleys' head,
but the corpse itself is
in a misstep, paraded through the streets. So maybe once part of the neck is exposed, there's just a lot of it was very upsetting to see Meleys like that. Criston, Gwayne, Harrenhal, Alice. It's basically just a word cloud of our
favorite things.
Passions. Goat sounds.
Goat sounds go.
They ride past the turf that Vhagar scorched when instantly annihilating the very limited garrison left behind. Enter the castle with the men. We get some of our favorite things. Puddles, reflections, spooky sounds. We're back. Harrenhal. Would you live here? Would you live in Harrenhal?
Yes. It's like rains inside all the time. I love it. Absolutely, I would live in Harrenhal.
This is your version of Frank Lloyd Wright's Fallen Water.
Yes. It seems quite damp. I bet it reeks in there.
Oh my God.
I would need like a hermetically sealed room for my books, but other than that, yes, I would live there. There would be a lot more cats, but fewer goats, but maybe some goats. Definitely more witches. Alice, as I mentioned on Talk of Thrones, dressed in what I can only assume are like, I feel like she's sort of like Cinderella bibbity bobbity booed, like went into Simon Strong's closet and was just sort of like, these fine purple velvet robes are now gowns for me.
I mean, he was a fit lord.
Yeah.
Drip king.
These golden chains are now mine. Yeah. This is who I am now, Queen of Harrenhal.
Well, it's working because she looks great.
She said Steward of Sorts, which you think is her fucking with Criston Cole. In his mind, I love this interpretation. I think it's really good. And then she tells them Rhaenyra's taking King's Landing. And then you go, oh, you didn't know. And like one of our listeners, Katie, compared this to Kevin Spacey's delivery at the end of Seven. And I'm like, I went and watched that clip where it's like, oh, he didn't know about Gwyneth. Spoilers for Seven, but like about Gwyneth Paltrow. And I'm just like, oh, wow, that's iconic. Also, Meg O'Keefe, pal of the pod, dropped in our comments section her theory for where Vhagar is, which is she thinks the Lady Vhagar is on the Isle of Faces being concealed by the werewoods.
Ooh,
fun.
I love it.
Because our question on Talk of Thrones is like, where is Vhagar? How does one conceal a dragon of that size?
Vhagar could not possibly be bigger. So
where is Vhagar? And
I love that.
Mysteriously veiled in mist and shadow on the Isle of Faces. I love Vhagar gets to go to the Isle of Faces. I believe it. I buy it.
Vhagar deserves it. Deserves a little vacay.
Sure.
A little R&R and a wellness retreat.
Yeah.
And there's that moment later in this scene where one of Criston and Gwayne's men comes and is like, we found a pretty big dragon's nest, but abandoned. Yeah. So still no definitive answer for where Vhagar is, which is fascinating. On the no definitive answers front, Alice just actively withholding some key intel here. They're like, where's Aemond? We were supposed to meet Aemond. We had a plan. We were going to meet Aemond.
He left.
He left. Makes no mention of the fact that he was stabbed through the kidney by a strong son and then fell prone at her feet begging for her help. Doesn't bring that up.
Nope.
Doesn't share that.
I'm sure she's telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
It was the zoom in on Gwayne's face on the Rhaenyra took King's Landing front. He was like, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like, my sister is there. Yeah. Our cause. Oh, no.
And Criston's just like, oh, good. More death to march towards. Maybe instead of marching, we should run headlong towards it.
Well, Joe, I'm not sure if you know this, but one of Criston's core tenets since the season 2 finale is to die would be kind of a relief. which again, I just hope is on everybody's minds here. They're at Gwayne and Criston processing this information or withholding of information at the lovely dining table.
This
And
table's inspired by that.
It is.
It's not, but let's say it is. The
Really-
round table.
Really felt
Arthur, Simon Strong, us.
Yeah. Well, I felt Simon's absence here because
Yeah, where was the venison?
where were the red currants?
Yeah.
Just existential dread?
No, not as tasty. Not as tasty. No.
No, not nearly as tasty.
No umami to the
That's,
existential
that's
dread.
exactly right. Are you do you crave a tomato juice on an airplane on the umami front?
We've talked about this so many times. You have a
Have to have one.
a V8.
A spicy V8. I have those multiple times a week anyway. Sponsor us. Get in here.
It is like a sickness in you that you must
Delicious.
feed, like a vampire. You must feed upon your V8, spicy V8 when you're airborne. This is not a thing I have. I like a water.
I'll have some water on the plane too.
Okay.
Yeah. They think Aegon's dead. So Alicent's idea, which Rhaenyra, had some notes on, but then immediately put into action,
Spread far and
seems
well.
to be effective.
Spread to Harrenhal, over to Rook's Rest.
Yeah, making the rounds. Wild stuff. I mean, pretty soon Aegon himself is going to find out that this is the word, and he's not going to react well to that. Gwayne wants to join their host Ormond, and Criston says no. Later, Ormond will receive a letter from Gwayne. Gwayne and Criston are not on the same page in this sequence, and
Sad.
they're our favorite bromance. So our second favorite.
It's
after
almost
Aegon
like
and
when you're
Larys.
like, hey, should we stop men from raping? And Kristen's like, Gwayne's like,
You're free to do it.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You're free to talk to the men.
Yeah, Criston, still clad in his Hand of the King necklace, his bling, is like, can't go back. Like,
We get
There's-
another signature speech from him here.
there's no way forward for me if
Yeah.
Rhaenyra is on the throne.
Right.
I offered her oranges and cinnamon. She said no.
She said,
and
"Fuck off."
It's been shitty for me ever since, honestly. I haven't gotten over it. I made
All
it
downhill since.
everyone else's problem.
Yeah, I mean, basically, is invoking his past. This was something that would be weaponized by others against him, and he would feel embarrassed of, right, and insecurity. And now he is the one to tap into this and invoke it.
Mhm.
Foot soldier, son of a steward. When Lord Dondarrion's favor ceased, my father died of a broken heart, a murder. I just love sometimes he's very true. That's not what he sounds like at all. He's very intense, Criston, because he's so like
How DJ Grassanova of him, you know what I mean?
exactly. I miss Task. What a great
be
show!
back. It'll
What
be
a
back.
great show.
Maybe not with DJ Grassanova though.
Sad.
Yeah,
Sad.
I loved this. I thought this was really good. He's talking about the nobles play their Games of Thrones.
Because I love a Game of Thrones. This is the second week in a row where someone could have said Game of Thrones and didn't.
Hey,
I'm
that's the name
keeping
of the
tabs.
show. Listen, once again, if the prompt is let's make season 3 of House of the Dragon more like Game of Thrones, they're like, let's just sort of allude to it in every single episode.
It's a great note.
Let us attack it as the scorpion does the ox. Let us become wraiths with fear as our standard.
Big Lord of the Rings guy here, I think.
Ring wraiths.
Yeah.
A sentence so normal you put it on your Instagram post for our Talk the Thrones episode.
I don't know. This casual Criston poetry really gets me.
The promise of this is so exciting to me because so in this stretch of Fire and Blood, there are a number of battles which we anticipate we will see this season. We've seen one. We anticipate we will see more. But there are
Yes.
also several instances of this sort of guerrilla warfare, of
That's
just
right.
sort of people sniping at each other from, the underbrush. It's not really Criston Cole's role in the book, but I'm excited to see how this manifests. I think this is potentially very as much fun as
Sweet Sunfyre.
killing people is.
This
But
is like the bloody hypocrite.
sweet darling is Criston Cole. What a cutie puff.
Oh
Can't
my
wait to
God.
see him
Oh,
murder
man.
a bunch of people from the underbrush. But
Well, he's pretty excited about the idea of no dragons, right? Man to man. I can reclaim my purpose, the sense that I have meaning, the ability to have an impact on events and something in my own life, which he's been voicing in some capacity for episodes now. And he's right here I can put that into action.
cry me a bit of a river, first of all.
No
But secondly,
question.
Secondly, it's very Ormund Hightower, where it's just sort of we are the superior men. They just have the unfair advantage of dragons.
Right.
I'm superior
Right.
to Aemond. Where the fuck is he? to Rhaenyra, the woman who jilted me. I am the pure. I am the superior. They have this like malformed advantage, and I will rid myself of it.
Yeah, the use of pure here was. I'm having such a great time watching Criston. I think we were meant to be like, oh, what? When he said that.
Criston, I love this character now in a way that I didn't before, but this guy sucks.
Yeah, piece of garbage. I like that on that no home, there's no possibility of no home, no return. The kind of combination for Criston that felt so earned at this point of, on the one hand, that's the what place does a man have in a dragon world, like larger sense of existential terror. And then there's the very specific, there's no redemption for me in Rhaenyra's realm aspect of that. So
she didn't want me at my oranges and cinnamon, and she certainly doesn't want me at my doing a coup, There's no version of him she wants around.
Incredible stuff. Alyn and Rhaenyra, they bond. We talked about this already when talking about the other Alyn scene. Is there anything we haven't hit here that you want to touch on? Maybe what Rhaenyra says about Viserys and
Fathers
the lessons?
have a maddening capacity to at once inspire and incense, don't you think? Do you think she's talking about Ormund's incense? Just kidding.
It's entirely possible.
I really loved this scene. I thought this was a really beautiful scene. Again, I think it's right that we continue to question the Viserys legacy, having watched him be quite ineffective in a number of different ways, and in many ways be his disinclination for conflict being the origin of this massive civil war and all of this. But we loved Patty, and there are moments when Viserys was just sort of like a good guy. And for Rhaenyra to be like, I'm so frustrated by him, but now that I have to sit on his throne, I have more empathy for how fucking hard this job is.
New perspective. Yeah.
I thought that was great. And then Alyn being there and being like, get some cats, bitch. And I'm like, you'll feel better.
Thanks for showing me your Legos. A Lego set of old Valyria that has become a rat's nest. Is there a commentary there about the rot inside of the Targaryen inheritance? Interesting to think about. Do you think with that new perspective, Rhaenyra will ever get up at a family dinner and say, oh, this old man who loves you so dearly? I do miss Patty. I really do. A reminder to him, I think, that even great dynasties fall. This, the doom, the number of times that the show is invoking the doom of Valyria as a parallel, which was
coming
actively
to HBO in 2030.
I do think that's a show they should do for various reasons.
This week on the watch, Chris is like, fewer Targaryens on Game of Thrones, and you're like, more.
Cataclysm. Let's go. Take me to the 14 flames. At least that would be a different place at a different moment in time. That would be nice. The proudest city in all the world was gone in an instant. Its fabled empire vanished in a day. The lands of the long summer scorched and drowned and blighted. That's Tyrion in the text. Then, of course, we have a delightful shared poem recitation in the show in season 5, sailing into the doom from Jorah and Tyrion. The city of 1,000 years and all that men had learned. The doom consumed it all alike, and neither of them turned. So this idea that Viserys has been citing since literally episode 1, this warning.
I think Dan Weiss wrote that poem, which I like.
So good. Yeah. That poem is so good.
Let's give them shit when they forget about the Iron Fleet, but let's remember
their flowers when they nailed
just, wrote beautiful poetry.
Dude, Game of Thrones used to be great.
That seems
oh my God.
Unfortunately, they're sailing towards Tyrion being stuck in a terrible plot line. But, before he gets there, he sees a dragon. Yeah. There's some stone men.
Remember when Jorah got grayscale? Spoiler.
And they just scraped it off.
Cut it off. The cut from going into the grayscale
to
the pie is an all-timer.
But Sam is like, I've studied the text and I figured out. You just kind of scrape it off. You scrape it off. Shireen's like, good to know. You just gotta cut the crust off. It's fine.
Oh my God. Cut the crust off. Gross.
Genuinely bizarre.
Oh man. Incredible stuff. Back to Aegon and Larys. They've reached Rook's Rest. Aegon is holding one of Sunfyre's scales. Sweet.
Cream puff Sunfyre.
Sweet. Could also be a practical weapon, perhaps, at some point.
Weapon. Because I was wondering if you meant it was valuable. I feel like if the golden scales were valuable, because like how much would one spend for that? But those shitheads around the carcass would have
they're mismanaging their business.
Yeah.
I'll say. They're mismanaging the business because those scales should be worth a lot.
Yeah.
Did you think of Dunk and Rafe when we watched the youngsters raiding corpses?
I did, actually.
Yeah. That was nice.
I did. Was it nice?
It's always nice when we have cause to connect these stories.
But like thinking about, so that's like the horrible aftermath of Rook's Rest. Scorched bodies, muddy bodies, decomposing bodies, all this sort of stuff like that. And thinking about Criston Cole, like the aftermath of battles that we keep sort of like riding through.
Yeah, and also just with this is where we walk in and we see the rotting Maely's corpse. This kind of like Targ's brought low clarity for Aegon, this thing he has to confront and can't deny. Important.
How do you think Ormund would fare at this camp at Rook's Rest? Rotting dragon body, piss and shit everywhere.
Literally everywhere. All over the boots. I mean, not well, obviously.
Do you know, when Tom was talking about the shit-covered boots and he said human feces?
Yes, that was...
Because I assumed it was like horse or something like that. You'd think that was like Janos was stomping around in human shit?
Very tough.
Yikes.
Well, they never tell you how they all shit themselves when they die. So if they're walking through this corpse field, I mean, it's entirely plausible.
Oh my God.
That was so fucking gnarly.
Do you think dragons like release their bowels when they die?
I mean, it's like one for the philosophers, but also, frankly, a practical question that this show should consider at some point. Something to think about. You know, in the Ormond, I don't understand actually like how he is with an army of 15,000 if he's this sensitive to.
He has his own silken tent.
I mean, yeah, and he's
like,
always
keep
hitting
them over there.
Yeah, he's hitting the snuff, but like,
the snuff.
It just seems like it should be it's unbearable for him, which I guess it is. He's recoiled in horror multiple times already through just 4 episodes of screen time. He hasn't even 3 episodes for him, I think. Larys is like, this garrison, stop talking about it. They all have their own agenda. You can't rely on the garrison that Cole left behind. He appeals to the Janos that kind of like want to be I'm in charge of this.
I know who Janos is.
Tom Tangletongue is here. This is a book character, so this is exciting. And this is where Larys is like, I have knowledge of herbs and I can read. And we had the same reaction, which was, let's fuck.
Hot.
That's so good.
You're literate and you know herb lore.
I know.
You're basically a witch. I'm into it.
They were all laughing, and I was like, this is
hot as fuck. It got him out of piss and shit duty.
Sure did. Yeah.
And
Aegon being like, I can read too. I can read too. Too little, too late. Very, very tough. Turmoil in Tumbleton.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cat returns home to Leos with supplies, finds the soldiers making merry, talking about how things were going to be better here than they were in Honeyholt. Honeyholt, Joanna?
Listen. Lord Ormond didn't cakewalk up the Mandor. Like, he didn't just walk up the Mandor with all these soldiers by his side. He had to, like, encounter some resistance upon his journey up.
Yes.
Who's the hero of that resistance, do you ask? I say it's Alan Beesbury.
Yeah.
Alan Beesbury, pissed off about what happened to Lyman Beesbury.
That's right.
His grandsire.
As he should be. Yeah, as he should be.
Says, fuck you, Greens. Where is Lyman Beesbury? Dead, the first casualty in The Dance of the Dragons, if you recall. Death by small ball.
How can I forget?
Quote, Lord Orm, only to find himself set upon by Sir Alan Beesbury and Lord Alan Tarley. Shout out the Tarleys.
That's right,
Samwell Tarley, you're still with us. Though commanding far fewer men, the 2 Allens harassed him day and night, raiding his camps, murdering his scouts, setting fires in his line of march. This is what I mean by guerrilla warfare exists elsewhere. So, didn't go all the way well for the Allens, unfortunately, Alan, Tarley, and Beesbury, but they put up a fight. So I wear this honeycomb earring in honor of House Beesbury.
Will the insults against House Beesbury in the
Never
Thrones
cease?
Television universe never cease?
Beesbury spinoff when? Rest in bees.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Given their funeral treatment.
Rest in bees.
Still not over that we didn't get more bees in Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Buzz, bitches.
That mustache
I
was
would
amazing.
like a Beesbury spinoff. I would like
Incredible.
House Beesbury to be heavily involved in a future Dunk and Egg season.
That would be great. We talked about this potential Beesbury involvement like
Years ago.
way more than made sense in
Yeah.
various trailer pods over
Absolutely.
the years.
And we're
and
like,
for what?
when is Alan Bees? When are the Allens showing up?
What? God damn it. But frankly, if we hadn't done it, then who would have ever given them the shine
The
that
honor
they
they
deserve?
deserve.
My goodness.
But yeah, the Battle of the Honey Wine, which is something that happens in the book that doesn't happen here.
Sad.
Sad. We'll
For-
talk about that
for
a
a
little bit
few
more
reasons,
later.
yeah.
But like, yeah. So Ormond's forces have like encountered some resistance up the Mandor. And as they made their way through the Reach, and they either sort of like decimated Team Black or absorbed them. And, you know, he's like, green jerkins for everyone, join the team, you know, here we are. So apparently Garrick was, you know, doing a rape or two in Honeyholt.
I have no
Hate
doubt.
to hear it.
I have
Hate
no doubt.
to hear it.
Garrick tells Kat needs to inspect the goods. Disgusting. Every single person, both in this scene of television and watching at home, knows what is about to happen. Everybody tenses in the room.
Yeah.
We're like,
Send the girl out the way that, you know, Daeron later will be like, get
that's
out.
right. That's right. Another attempted rape here. Garrick then breaks Leo's wife's arm. Leo gets involved. This is one of the many moments in this episode that brought Jorah's famous season 3 line to mind. Beast in every man, right? Have you ever seen a war where innocents didn't die by the thousands? I was in King's Landing during the sack, Khaleesi. You know what I saw? Butchery. Babies, children, old men, more women raped than you can count. There's a beast in every man, and it stirs when you put a sword in his hand. Given the number of times that a Gwayne and Criston conversation has centered on the idea of
Beasts.
becoming beasts before the end, like this is something that the show is obviously centering. And to your point from earlier, the atrocity of war, the horrors of war are manifesting in a number of different respects here. Ormond in Tumbleton saying, my men will behave and I will protect you. And then going through the theater of judgment after learning about
He
this.
loves theater.
All of the different degrees of horror here are
Real
very tough.
theater kid energy.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah.
When he fixes his hair after his tantrum.
My God. That's a great. That's just actually an incredible moment. James
Really?
Norton's killing it.
Crushing.
Killing it. Hugh implores Rhaenyra to send him to Tumbleton. We transition directly from that threat to Hugh's wife into a moment with Hugh. He comes in and he says to Rhaenyra, who's studying the map, doesn't have yours, has to make do with the rolling whiteboard there.
Shabby.
Buzzing in the ears back from episode 3, here again in a couple moments,
Great
including
sign.
this one. This is worrying. Thinks he's here, as you noted earlier, for her house. She's like, oh,
Do you think the buzzing in her head is the ghost of Alan Beesbury being like, where's my role in this show?
Justice for the
bees.
Lyman. Maybe. Could be. He's like, no, that's not why I'm here, actually. I heard you're sending Ulf to Tumbleton?
The fuck?
Now, Rhaenyra has a very reasonable response to this,
Yeah,
which
your
is,
wife's there.
you told me your wife's there. Ulf has no stake in it.
Yeah.
Hugh manages to spin this and convince Rhaenyra. He says, that's why you should send me. I'm not going to tire of keeping watch.
Yeah, Rhaenyra's like, why not both? And you know what? I think it should be more than just a 2-dragon rotation. Because, like, the idea that it was ever just supposed to be Ulf sitting on that dragon day and night, what are we talking about? So, like, can it just be, like, a different dragon a day? You have a lot. I know
Right.
that some of our other dragons are out
Off
looking for Vagar and stuff
looking
like
for
that. But,
sheepy.
like,
Yeah.
she's got a lot of dragons.
Yeah,
Does
well,
she want to take a turn on Sunfyre, on Cyrex?
On
I'm thinking
Cyrex?
about.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris
the
Ryan's not here. I know the dragons.
the dragon math gets thin quickly when you start to divide the ranks, to think about all of these different tasks. I will not tire of watching when one I love is below, Hugh says. And Rhaenyra, it's all right. You guys keep an eye on the town and each other. And then we cut to Ulf, who, as we mentioned, cannot read clearly because this graffiti is here. And he's like, hears somebody mention that it's disgusting and leans in. And then helpfully another member of King's Landing is
But
like,
just like
"What's in
shout out Tom Bennett, who
Oh
just
my
like
God.
gives such a great performance of like pretending he knows what it says while also eagerly listening to
Yes.
find out what it says. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah. of
He,
course,
I mean,
that-
he's just like
Sensational.
Sensational. Has been from
Sensational.
minute one, but just in this episode in particular.
Queen
I
of
thought
Bastards
excellent.
with the strong sigil right next to it.
3 strong boys. Stuff. And like, you know,
This is crazy. This is crazy to me because it's like I don't know whose got the graffiti paint out there in Flea Bottom, but like
that's a level of specificity in the
strong
graffiti.
sigil.
Yeah. It's obviously it does not sit well with Rhaenyra when she learns about it. It also makes us think back, I think, to that argument between Rhaenyra and Corlys last episode, because the way that Rhaenyra handled her relationship with Corlys and his expectations and desires there, we still have notes. But not wrong to be worried about, this thing has this
it feels directly related.
It's like plagued her.
Yeah.
And she knew it would continue to.
And she got to worry about Joff.
Sweet Joff. Sweet Joff.
And
then Ulf goes to the tavern.
He goes to the bar. I love this scene because like his friends are like, oh my God, you're a big rich dragon rider now. Look at your velvets and like drinks for everyone. And Ulf's like, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Drinks for everyone. But I love that sequence because it's like Ulf was like, oh yeah, like where's my castle, right?
Yeah.
Where are my riches? And Rhaenyra's like, we'll pay you when we can pay you. So like maybe that was all of his money. You know what I mean? He's like, but he cannot admit to them that he's not as rich as, he's pretending to be. He's like, oh, I'm a big, important dragon rider now. They're like, great, you can buy drinks for everyone. And he's like, definitely. I am swimming in money for sure.
Right.
Also, did you see that Cheese's dog was there?
I still am not over.
# Cheese's dog lives.
I'm not over that dog getting kicked. That was so painful and horrible
living
to watch.
it up in the pub. Just being cuddled by
a lot of
sweet
scraps in there, maybe.
Sugar Puff, Cheese's dog. Never flew into battle anywhere.
Oh, man.
Sweetest, scrumptious darling, Cheese's dog.
I do love that dog. Sweet puppy. Sweet puppy. Cat's family appeals to Ormond. As you noted already, in plain sight.
Daylight.
Of many plain daylight, Daywalker, that too. Ormond is clocking. The people of Tumbleton are seeing this. They're listening.
It's a kind of
people.
It's a kind of awareness that Rhaenyra could have like used in her conversation with Corlys when, Yeah. I mean, again, I think Corlys was the sort of imprudent actor inside of that conversation. But if she had been like, hey, quick pause. Let's retire to my chambers to have this conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because there are people right over there. She did not know he was going to scream, bastards!
Right. Let's go to the small council chamber and just leave the door open.
I'm sure no one will listen.
Nuts! What's wrong with everyone?
But Ormond, on the other hand, is just sort of like, time for some theater.
Exactly. They're listening, and so I will tell them that this is wrong and not to be tolerated, and the gelding and the arm breaking, and we will protect you. I'm going to have a maester tend to your wounds before bringing you in to have Daeron kill you, Leo.
We do find out that Leo is a smith.
That's right.
So you think Kat's like,
oh,
my brother's a smith, I'll marry a smith sort of thing.
It's entirely possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, but my smithing business is not going well. And now you broke my baker wife's arm.
Terrible.
Sucks.
Terrible. Rhaenyra consults Orwyle on the faith. This was a fascinating scene. I really liked this. This is I'm into these two together. Set that Orwyle on the I need all the information about correspondence between Ormond and the Red Keep, Raven Scroll mission, right? And then after that asks, how much control do the Hightowers have over the faith? And it's very clear that this confrontation, an interaction that became a tense confrontation with High Septon Ballman last week in the throne room, last episode in the throne room, has Rhaenyra concerned, and it is something that Rhaenyra is taking seriously, his warning, right? Orwyle notes the Old Town ties, endowing the Starry Sept, the centrality of the Seven to the Hightower identity, which we, of course, have talked about for 3 seasons now of covering the show. But control? No. And he makes a dragon comp in terms of the centrality to the identity, which I thought was just really interesting in terms of like respective core aspects for the Targaryens, the dragons, the Hightowers, the faith, but also what they perceive as like a source of strength. Right?
Well, dragons have always been a metaphor for power inside of George R. R. Martin's writing, right? And so like this idea of like what are other sort of like sources of power that are used as cudgels. And if you think about like the faith militant and stuff like that is a more overt example, but obviously like the church in our world and across time and space has been used as a way to manipulate and some good things as well, but also historically, politically, also some very negative things, or just a way to hold on to your power, tap into this sort of like, because what is at the core of faith is like fear, in terms of like, why do you look for answers, religious answers? Why do you look for a God and something like that? It's this like fear in the universe. You're looking for comfort. You're looking for guidance. You're looking for answers of like, my existence is upsetting. Things happen. What are the answers? How can I find comfort? How can I find guidance? And there are so many bad actors throughout history who have used that vulnerability inside of people to be like, and now I control you, you know? And so that idea of like dragons as power and the faith as power and the Targs, this is a Targaryen civil war, but it's also like a Targ Hightower civil war. And so like, I also think it's interesting when you have someone like Rhaenyra who's talking about the gods and in a way that she seems like a true believer in the gods, right? She's like, the god, as you mentioned earlier, the gods will rightly sort of smack me down if I do this, that, or the other thing. And then for Ormund to be such a pretender, I think those contrasts are really interesting. But yeah, these two examples, these two metaphors for power, and how are they wielded by these two teams,
and two in this case that are in conflict with each other. Like hearing High Septon Ballman last week say, in a very Ormond-esque capacity, talk a lot of shit about dragons and the Targaryens. There's a tension there. They're at odds with each other.
This other thing I want to say about Orwyle and his centrality in this episode, which I think is interesting, like his increasing centrality inside of this show, is that he is like one of the de facto sources in Fire and Blood, right? Like we must be grateful to Grandmaster Munkin, for it was his true telling, based in large part on the account of Grandmaster Orwyle, et cetera, et cetera. So Orwyle as a source inside of this story that George R. R. Martin has written, so Orwyle as witness to so much is essential.
Absolutely. I liked that she revealed this to the High Septon refuses to anoint me aspect to Orwyle, because on the one hand, he's on the small council at this point. The information is sort of something that he needs to possess. They have to have a sense of the board, right? Play the board before them. But also there's a vulnerable aspect to that, and it shows not only, I think, a kind of desperation to have anybody who she can talk to and rely upon outside of just Mysaria and her prisoner, Alicent, right? But also maybe like I see something here that feels like a little ember we could tend, right? That there's the capacity here for a trust that I could nurture.
Yeah.
That it feels notable.
I could maybe be on board if you need to be.
Yeah, great stuff. They're bonding. Nice to see a friendship forge in real time here. What did you actually make of that question that he asked her that you mentioned earlier? Like, does it matter? They won't anoint you. You can't do your coronation. Does it matter? Like, do you think he's right that it doesn't matter?
I think it's possible that there's a path forward where it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that like it doesn't matter at all, but I think Rhaenyra is letting it matter more than
it should.
If she's just sort of like, I am Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
I am the queen. I decide what matters. Right. I decide what carries the most important. But I understand why, again, like she's journeyed through life being told that like a woman can't sit the Iron Throne and all these other things. And so she feels like she needs all these other things to sort of bolster her up and justify her claim and all these other things that she's talked about, that she alone is not enough, that she needs the faith to anoint her, that she needs, Aegon's head on a spike. She needs all these other things. And it's just sort of like, Rhaenyra, you have so many dragons.
I know. It is so fascinating because like being anointed wouldn't stop any challenges. You know, but and Aegon, that like all the every symbol of legitimacy belongs to him idea that we talked about so much at the end of season 1 into season 2. Where'd that get Aegon ultimately?
Right,
but not having it makes something feel more tenuous, even though having it doesn't make it stronger. It's this fascinating, like this kind of need to latch on to anything that feels like it gives you a stronger foothold, even though no foothold in this moment in time for these characters can be anything but like a perch that potentially crumbles.
But it is that double standard of like, again, going back to the Great Council's decision. The Great Council decides Viserys should rule.
Yes.
And everyone's like, okay, Viserys is king. If the Great Council had decided that Rhaenys should rule,
no question,
it would have been a much harder road for her.
No
it's
question.
not just like, oh, the Great Council said so. It's like, the Great Council said so. You're a woman. Like, prove it. So it's different.
Yeah. Rhaenyra has an entire lifetime of proof
Different
that
for girls.
when Viserys named her heir, all of those lords sat there in the throne room and pledged. Did it fucking matter, or is the Dance of the Dragons happening right now? Was Aegon crowned king?
Swear, you know what I mean?
They make you fucking swear and swear. So yeah, Rhaenyra has every reason to believe that anyone will take any excuse to challenge. Daemon. Up in the Vale. Back in his favorite murder den. And we're back in our favorite milk den. Shout out Liza and Sweet Robin now and always. What do you think is more top of mind for folks in the Vale with Daemon back? The murder of his former wife or his commentary on men in the Vale fucking sheep because the women are so ugly? What do you think people are more focused on?
I think people remember the murder more than they remember because Daemon has said so many cutting things and he's really only murdered one wife. So far. That's not a spoiler. That's just a joke. That's a joke.
Oh, man. Daemon and Jeyne, they're both pretty dissatisfied with the state of this partnership so far. This scene was so entertaining.
This is really fun.
Really great.
And again, I loved hearing Claire talk about like, how do I make this work with like Daemon down here and her up there. And like, I love the way that Matt Smith was like leaning on the like moon door sort of like rim thing. And I thought it was really well done. Jeyne is a political animal.
Yeah.
I like her.
Jayne's
She's
tough.
a canny operator.
Yeah. Jeyne is a no bullshit
this is like,
character.
One of our listeners made this point, but like Jane Eyre ruling in the Vale and Joanna Lannister being the de facto ruler over in Castle Rock, like there are these women examples of Sabitha Frey, the twins, like there are these examples of women ruling in Westeros and like how do they operate in a way that it works in the way that it's not working for Rhaenyra and King's Landing.
Yeah. And what will people tolerate in a realm, but not on the Iron Throne. But yeah, like that was one of the reasons, in addition to the family ties that like, Jane supported. But it's like the Lannisters, they're Team Green.
But Jane all alone there with just her dogs, and she's just like not really that intimidated by Daemon. Like
no, fucking rode a horse.
Yeah.
A horse toward Sheep Stealer a couple episodes ago. It was baller. Daemon, I just want to say, I know he was there to get money. That's the mission. However, I think that you should say, you pledged us, you didn't send your swords.
We're
it's
broke.
Expensive business. We demand payment. Not, Hightower treachery. We're duped. We are easily duped and we're dolts and we like the coffers are empty. We were not prepared for that.
Daemon
and we have no plan.
Daemon just took the wrong kid home. Like Daemon, not the clever one in the room, Torrin Manderly. Absolutely not. Also, so on Talk of Thrones, I was talking about how like, I thought the reports from her various vassals was just citing Caraxes fly across the Vale. But my understanding now is that Daemon was there to he collected money from other houses as well. Mm-hmm. Because it says, like, later when he gets back in the small council, they're like, what did Daemon get from the other houses? So, like, he wasn't just, like, the Vale was the last stop. So, like, at that point, she already knew that he was out there with his tin cup begging for coin.
And yet Mysaria later is still basically like, a small amount of coin, small dick. At the small council meeting.
Did she say that?
I think in essence, yes. Okay. I think in essence, yes. Yeah, the beggar with the tin cup line. I don't think Daemon is a character who's going to be content for long to be sent on missions where he has to stand there and have people call him a beggar with a tin cup.
Nope.
Not really Daemon's vibe.
Once again, Daemon, not my diplomat that I'm sending around.
Where's Jace?
I understand that Jace is dead, but
stuff.
Is there literally anyone else we can send? Is there literally anyone else who said? Baela, I bet, would do a better job.
Baela would be great. I liked when Daemon was kind of like little carrot, little stick. The sooner you give me the money, the sooner I'm gone, carrot, but also the stick of like, you don't want me around. You don't want to fuck with me.
Nice,
not for long.
Nice realm here. Be a real shame if something happened to it. My long neck boy is parked right outside.
Well, speaking of Caraxes, it's time for Daemon to discover Rhaena's secret. This was just an genuinely incredible, great scene and stretch. Daemon is affixing the coin to Caraxes' saddle, and the bloodworm screeches and takes off. And we talked about this on Talk of the Thrones, but the deliciousness of as Daemon is about to say, like, a wild dragon, you can't control him. Daemon Targaryen, fabled warrior, longtime, very experienced dragon rider, also being in a situation where his dragon is like, and he's literally shouting in High Valyrian, serve me, shouting like a cuck into the wind. And Caraxes is just like, I'm going to do what I want. So when Aemon...
like a cuck into the wind is
tough. I'm sorry.
Really fucking tough. Serve me, but serve me is what, obey me, serve me is what Aemon said, what Rhaena said, you know what I mean?
And Aemon was still, at that point, relatively speaking, unseasoned on Vhagar.
Yeah, and Vhagar is just like Caraxes and Daemon have been together a lot longer.
Yeah, it's been a minute for Rhaena and Sheepy when they head into the gullet. Literally a minute. Just one. But yeah, and Caraxes. So the dragon control, the hubris of control. Here it is again.
Do you think Caraxes was like most like, hey, Daemon, you want to see this? Most about Sheepstealer or most about Rhaena? Like, hey, one of your bloodline is over there in that cave. Do you want to know about it? All of the
above. Sweet Caraxes. Sweet bloodworm. Darling Caraxes.
Sweet darling sugar.
Oh my God.
Pumpkin Caraxes.
I really, really love. This was interesting to hear them talk about on House of Dragon Built 2. They're filming in Wales. They have this gorgeous like quarry, but still they had to build the actual mouth of the cave that they needed because dragons are gigantic.
Yeah.
You know? It was kind of fascinating. I loved that shot of the fire, Sheepstealer's fire.
Walking out.
Yeah. Bathing Rhaena in the flames. Walks toward her father, who is astounded and dismayed and beside himself in a way that we are very unaccustomed to seeing from Daemon. Very flustered. Daemon Targaryen flustered. Not something we've seen a lot of.
Flabbergasted, you know.
I found this incredibly compelling.
Yeah.
I loved this. This
Fantastic.
was great. In general, Joe, Daemon as dad, it's good and we should have more of it. I mean, it made me think back to that, like the cutscene that we saw in maybe the Inside the Episode or House of the Dragons Build or something back in season 1 on Pentos after Laena's death. That's the shot of him like hugging the girls. We're like, where was this in the actual episode?
And we just like have literally not, like we've barely seen when Rhaena's like, Bela's your favorite, I'm like, kinda. I mean,
just the like reading to her and you're a dragon rider.
One scene.
Yeah.
One scene.
Yeah.
So I don't discount her feelings, but like he's been a pretty crap father to everyone, including his blonde babies and including his stepdad to Jace and all that sort of stuff like that. Like he's just I think it's fun to watch Daemon as a father, but I just don't think we've gotten any of that.
And mostly what this scene relies upon is the absence of any impact on Rhaena's life or acknowledgement of Rhaena, and that is ultimately effective here. But in terms of the comp, then you're right with the other kids. I thought it was interesting when he's like, you were supposed to be with the other kids. Oh my God, that he was definitely thinking, that's the line of prophecy. Oh no, who's watching the little blonde babies?
How is that?
Oh man.
Yeah. She says, he is mine. He is a part of me. He's like, you know, we'll leave, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I was trying to help Jace. He's like, fuck, you killed Jace. That
I know.
Sucks. What are we going to do with Rhaenyra? Oh my God.
That reaction was so good.
He didn't really care about Jace, but he does care. He knows Rhaenyra cares about Jace. So all of that is happening. And I thought this email we got from our listener, Alex, is really interesting. He's talking about the season 1 conversation between Corlys and Daemon when they're talking about being the realm's second sons, not literally in Corlys's case, but just sort of like this idea of like their worth is not given, but must be made. And how much this is Rhaena's own feeling, like that she is the second daughter, the second son, and that she doesn't have a dragon, so she has to make her own, you know, very much the Aemon parallel, of course.
Yes.
But I love this part of Alex's email. The tragedy of Rhaena being that she was abandoned by 2 men, father and grandfather, which should easily identify with her feelings, but were too busy or not present to ever consider her is very compelling. And I feel it in a way justifies the adaptive change of her claiming Sheepstealer and replacing the book character Nettles within this show. And I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why both in this scene, the pain, the turmoil that we're seeing in Daemon, realizing what this means for his kid, and then ultimately, of course, the choice he makes to help Rhaena, to choose Rhaena, to lie to Rhaenyra. It's a choice as a father that we have, I agree with you, not seen enough of, but it's a winning thing, even though it's very worrying, of course, in terms of the...
I'm going to say something about Nettles, and I'm going to ask you whether or not you think it's okay to, like, leave in the episode.
Okay.
Which is like in the book, because they're not doing the Nettles storyline in the book.
Right.
But in the book, there's this question of like, what is Daemon to Nettles? Yeah. Right? Is she his daughter or is she his lover? Right? That's a question. Left up to the history to decide.
Right.
The more cuddly version of Daemon is that it's his daughter, right? Not just that he like saw a hot young dragon rider and is like, fuck it. He's like, this is my daughter, so I'm gonna, protect her from Rhaenyra. That's the cuddlier version of Daemon, and I have seen some critiques from people who don't like this nettle swap that they're like, forever the show is choosing to find the cuddlier version of Daemon in like, not forever, but like in some of these instances, like Heir for a Day, or like, did he really kill his first wife, or did her horse just get spooked? Like all these things that like some of the worst things that Daemon did, the show is like, but what if it wasn't that bad? And so, like, this is just another, like, when we watch Daemon protect Rhaena, we're like, oh, Daemon is a father. Daemon flustered. This softens him. But, like, is it giving Daemon too much of a soft landing when book Daemon is a much more of a bastard's character? I don't think you could watch Daemon in the show and say, like, this guy isn't a bastard in many different ways. But, like, I do remember that from early seasons. People are like, why is there all these, like, shortcuts and excuses for Daemon in some of his worst moments?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I feel like my read on the early mileage may vary with this. I think that's especially true in an adaptation like this, where there's a lot of open to interpretation relationship to the character in the first place. Yeah. My relationship to show Daemon was actually quite a bit like was the other side, was the opposite. That the show went out of its way often. Daemon choking Rhaenyra at the end of season 1, for example, to say like, this guy's a piece of shit, actually. And so I find myself, because I think as I heading into House of the Dragon would have said, Daemon is my favorite character. I'm the character I'm most excited to spend time with.
Like a compelling character.
Yeah, compelling. Not like I root for this guy, he's lovely, but like what a fascinating figure. And so I think the moral ambiguity of Daemon and the outright sometimes atrocities that he has committed, the horrors and the guilt and the shame. Not everybody had the patience for him to be at Harrenhal for as many episodes as he was, and I understood that, even though I think we both really liked it. But I think that was rooted in a desire for Daemon to try to exorcise these demons that have plagued him. So I'm in the other. I understand why people feel that way, certainly, but I'm in the other camp with it, where I actually find myself like bowled over by gratitude almost, like, because we've had lots of moments of charm from Daemon, but still paired with a kind of cold calculus. And there's a calculus here too, no question, both in the decision he makes with the goat herder and then the decision he makes with Rhaenyra. But I find myself like thinking here about something is awoken in Daemon here that feels paramount to him. And like he cannot bring himself. He finds himself in a state of hypocrisy, which is interesting, right? Saying, what did we hear him say to Rhaenyra last episode about Viserys? Renounced his dragon. That was the term he used. And he is telling Rhaena here to do exactly that. Renounce your dragon.
Ditch Sailor. Who needs
He's
it?
totally out of sorts. He's flustered. He's contradicting his own kind of core beliefs, right? And core philosophy. Because he's so scared for her. Thinking of like the apparition, the vision of ghostly Lena at Harrenhal in season 2 saying like, have you looked after our girls, which is not a thing that he has ever done, and being confronted with the undeniable threat to his kid there.
I just think I like this Rhaena Nettles swap. Personally, I'm not opposed to it. And I don't remember being mad about those other sort of like Daemon moments that people sort of point to. But I do think there's like a little bit of connective tissue missing between that Lena
I agree with that,
sequence
for sure.
in Harrenhal and him being so backfooted about Rhaena here. I would have liked one more scene with Rhaena and Baela, maybe that cutscene from season 1 or something else. Which sets me up for he would care so much about her in this moment when he has shown no indication.
I don't dispute or challenge that at all. I agree with that. I just think
I know that's a different tack.
Daemon is still ultimately making a complicated choice here. So I didn't come out of this like cuddly Daemon. I came out of this as complicated Daemon who has some humanity.
Sweet Daemon.
Going and immediately roasting the goat herder and then just lying to Rhaenyra.
I loved it. I love that the button of the scene of him being flustered is him giving the most evil, I'm going to kill that guy, leer off a cliffside. Like, I agree. And I think that complication inside of him, the conflict inside the human heart, all of that is
the only thing worth writing about.
Quite good. I do think I don't 1000% buy how flustered he is in this Rhaena moment, you know?
Yeah, it is interesting to parse that. And I think, well, Carlos, let's see this clip and then talk about maybe what is driving the extent of his emotional reaction here for another beat.
Come back with me then to King's Landing.
No.
We will speak to her together. We will tell her it was a mistake.
How can I ever stand before her again after what I have done? No, I can never return. I will remain here. Alone and in exile. That is my penance.
She will hunt you down. Is hunting now.
So I think there is part of what is going through his mind is about Rhaena. A lot of it, I think, is about Rhaenyra. And just in general, Daemon, through receiving the prophecy, working through his Harrenhal therapy with Viserys, with his own mother, with Lena, everything that transpired there for him was about the vision that he saw when he touched the werewood. All of it was about the Targaryen line and family. Mm-hmm. So there's something like, I don't know if I viewed this as much as like, oh my God, my paternal instinct has awoken at last completely. I think that's there. And I agree with you that more building toward that helps us maybe accept that more fully. But a little bit of our children will rule it for, an entirety in a day, whatever. Like he's thinking about their dynasty. This is a civil war and then civil war inside of their family faction. I think he's overwhelmed by how destabilizing this could be for everything that he's trying to achieve and that they're trying to achieve. I think that's at play too, right? Okay. But I definitely think that
I think most people's interpretation of the scene is like, oh, Daemon cares about his daughter.
That is the primary,
right?
The primary thing, yeah. I think. But I don't know. It's like, what should he do? Say, okay, Rhaenyra can kill.
It's just a lot of bad. It's just a lot of bad dad too late stuff from Corlys being like, Alyn, you get to sit on my chair. Bad dad too late, and Daemon being like, no question. Care.
Yeah, I mean,
and Rhaena's like, bad dad too late. Bye.
Yeah. And I loved hearing Rhaena challenge him that way
for sure.
Because
for sure, I don't know. I don't dislike this scene. I just need to think about it more. I think.
Yeah, was it earned enough? I think is a completely fair question. Rhaena the Unfortunate, I quite liked both in terms of just calling Daemon out and not being present enough for her and the way that she felt so on the outside of the Targaryen legacy, but also just like the idea of Maegor returned, Rhaenyra the Cruel. Like we think about these the Blue Queen, the sobriquet, yeah. And like when that can be when the language of legacy and identity is used to actually show that something is not working, that you haven't achieved the thing that you wanted to, that people have made you feel on the outside. I always like when the show does that. Time for Ormund's meltdown. He's making a custom blend. What do you think he's putting into this? Do you think he mixes up the scent? You asked at the beginning of the season, what would we put in ours? How often is he making a kind of custom blend here?
If Ormund were alive right now, he'd have a real doTERRA problem. Do you know about doTERRA? Like these essential oil blends that you can like. I have friends who are like deep in the doTERRA cult.
I see.
I have a personal preference for a doTERRA blend. It's like a very like orange, cinnamony, spicy thing. A very Criston Cole sort of special.
I just got a simmer pot and I got cinnamon sticks, vanilla extract, oranges, and a couple other spices to try to put in it.
Nice.
Haven't used it yet.
I love that diffuser lifestyle personally. Not the like reed diffuser, but the sort of like steam diffuser thing. Anyway, big fan. What is Ormund? I mean, that looks like paprika, to be honest with you, but that does not seem like it would offer up some very delicious smells. So like maybe some mace, some clove.
Clove would be nice.
Sorry, anise.
Delightful.
I don't know.
Delightful.
Something to think about.
Maybe just changes it based on the mood. The mood's always the same with this guy. It's always bad. It's always bad.
Seems bad. When we mentioned like sort of what is going to happen with Ormund and his smell thing.
Yeah.
Our listener Mikhail wrote in to say, I just need you to know that your Talk to the Thrones comment about dropping dragon shit on Old Town was in my feed, followed by the ad break, which began for adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms. Every choice matters. So
that's what we call an integration.
We did.
There you go. Incredible. Bold John enters, presents Gawain's letter, and this is when Ormund finds out that Aemon and Vhagar are not coming. In fact, he reacts very well, and Daeron clocks while Ormund is still reading what is about to happen. So his power of observation, but also, of course, what this tells us undeniably about his experience with Ormund.
Also, in a so this is like a benign comp. This is obviously a very disturbing sequence, but it reminded me of, in Mary Poppins when they're like quite used to the cannons going off and everything in their house, and they're just sort of like places, and they carry on their conversation while they stand in place to like hold this bust or hold the piano or hold this. They know where to go when this routine explosion is going to happen inside of the Banks household in Mary Poppins. So like again, that's like a cutesier version of this horrible temper, but like the way that both Jon and Daeron like take a step back, and then Jon just goes to like put the chair back in place. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like their job is to pretend this didn't happen and put it all back when it's over. I don't know, replace the table so that he doesn't even have to see the damage that he caused. Like their job is to keep everything right where it was, because we don't acknowledge that these explosions happen. They just happen, and we put it all back and keep going from there,
Oof. Man. Oof.
And it's just like the little detail of Jon just like putting the chair back, I thought was such a good moment. And then like, again, the incredible performance from Daeron of just sort of like the body language.
Wanting to shield this innocent from being in the blast radius of this was obviously very impactful. I thought the lingering, you mentioned the kind of tears in the eyes, the lingering shot on Daeron in the face of this, and the fact that even though that rhythm, that routine, we go about our business is undeniable, the horror that Daeron feels in the face of this, like he's not been... there's not like a muted response to that he has to this. It has like I think we see in his eyes not just fear, which we see elsewhere from him, when he's backing up in the Sept, but I think revulsion. Like this certainly does not strike us as behavior that Daeron admires. That seems, I think, fair to say.
I will just say, without getting too much into it, like my experience with this is that it doesn't ever get easier. It actually just like kind of compounds. And there's this feeling of like helplessness and just sort of like, but how do I make myself as quiet and as small and as like compliant as possible so that like it doesn't land on me? And what I do love about Daeron, like Daeron in that earlier sequence, looking sort of like hopeful after the like, we're gonna kill this guy, and Darren's just like, oh,
justice.
We're doing it. It's gonna be fine,
people.
And then he's like, oh no, same as it fucking ever was with this guy. I will make myself as quiet and as small, and I'll just put my hands behind my back, and I cannot be a target. But also what I like about Daeron is that he's like, I'm not going to let someone else be the target.
I'm going to try to protect someone
I'm going to try to get someone else out of the room. You know what I mean? Because there are other ways in which one can, in the face of abuse, try to like redirect it elsewhere. And Darren's just like, that's not who I am. And again, like my fan fiction that I've written is that if something like that happened, it would be like Gwayne telling Daeron, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like this is coming. That like Gwayne was that insulation that Daeron is now trying to be.
And this is the scene, this Ormond outburst scene when Daeron asks, so hopefully is Gwayne coming?
Is Galadriel here? Is Gwayne coming to Tumbleton?
Ulf has a request. Do you want to hit, this is actually where Orwyle tells Rhaenyra that Ormond never replied to Otto. Do you want to hit your theories here?
Like, is there more to this? Okay, so our listener Luca, who is a longtime Thrones expert, the best, love Luca, wrote in to remind us that in season 2, episode 1, Otto reported on Ormond's movements and intentions, and after Otto was gone, Jasper Wilde reported on Ormond's march through the Reach. So is Orwyle lying? Did the show forget? What was that scene for anyway? Just so Orwyle can say Ormond rules Old Town like his own kingdom to set up Ormond raising Darren's claim to the throne. And at the end of the episode, maybe, et cetera, et cetera. Luca wrote in with the glass candle theory, which I really like a real crackpot, knows it's crackpot, like sort of glass candle theory, this idea that like Ormond is communicating that way. But there's something afoot here. Like there's just zero possibility that Ormond, so I don't know if it is that Orwyle's lying or if there was some other like way or were the scrolls burned, were the records burned, like did Larys
did someone hide them? Yeah, did Larys when he was stashing Otto also hide all? I think Orwyle lying is definitely a possibility. Somebody hiding or destroying the correspondence so that it could not be handed over is definitely a possibility. All of those reports and accounts of Ormond's behavior or advancement coming from other people, but Ormond himself being like, I don't really need to spend my time thinking about what Otto is asking me.
So it's not
He's in
filed under.
play, at
It's not
least?
filed under like Hightower, comma Ormond. It's like Roxton, comma John. Like
Exactly,
wrote all the
bold
scrolls.
John.
But like Ormond is forever writing and
I know.
receiving scrolls. This is like baths and smelling nice stuff and writing and receiving scrolls
Constantly.
is all this guy does. So
Yeah.
like there's zero chance to me that Ormond never wrote a scroll to Otto.
Yeah.
Zero.
What if he was using a code name?
Mm.
Different seal so that it couldn't be detected as his?
King Ormond.
Detected as legit only by his signature scent on the parchment. King Ormond, exactly. Ulf pops his head in, like you said. This is the Sir Ulf is still waiting about. That was so funny. And he started a petition for favors. This was one of my favorite Rhaenyra impatience moments. Speak them!
Yeah.
It's like, I have shit to do, and
Yeah.
no one to help me do it. Not there to ask favors for himself, though. For his, as he calls them, Joe, allies.
Allies.
Incredible. His tavern mates, his pal, Moujon Clay, thanking you, Grace. This is just an incredible moment. On the one hand, kind of wild from Ulf, given that Rhaenyra has not actually been able to give him or Hugh or anyone else the things that they've asked for, but kind of like, first of all, admire the hustle a little bit, and also looking out for his boys.
Yeah.
Sort of touching.
He's
sort
like,
of
okay,
sweet.
if you don't have coin to spend,
Yeah.
can you
Show
at
us
least-
your pull.
Can you at least look the other way? Well, not just for Ulf, for Rhaenyra.
For
Like,
Rhaenyra,
you can't
yeah.
afford me? Okay. Can you do some faves for my friends?
Yeah. No taxes.
No? And
Pardon the crimes.
I don't even get to go back to the
Holding.
tavern?
Okay, so let's talk about
My
this.
church?
It's my belly. Oh, but it's not. No, you belong now to the crown. Should something befall you or your belly, I suffer the loss of a dragon, and the unity of the realm is threatened. Say it with us, folks. Are you giving your supporters what they need? This is like so cold and clueless. I think the fact that Rhaenyra actually believes this is obviously just alarming. But I think the fact that Rhaenyra says it without considering the way it would be received.
Well, and it's also Ormond language when he's like, that Hightower man is the like physical extension of you
yeah.
to Daeron. Like they're
Yes.
speaking with the same language. Same as it ever was. Listen. Tough.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
Very rough.
Ulf, like, the fact that we've seen Ulf, like, hug Jace hated it, try to hug Daemon, Daemon's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then get hugs all around in the tavern, and Rhaenyra's like, you don't get to go there anymore, your favorite place on earth. You have to sit here in the castle with all the rats,
Right.
and hopefully soon cats,
Hopefully.
and be sober and
Yeah.
miserable.
I'm going to laugh in your face when you say that you want to be named Targaryen, which was a ridiculous request, let's be honest. Let's be fair.
Targaryen?
Absolutely not. You only get to leave. You can't go hang with your friends. I own you. You only get to leave when you're going to do work for my cause. I mean, this is so rough. But I have to say,
Bad management.
I was even more shocked
Mm.
by the chutzpah of Ulf's
Yeah.
reply. Carlos, can we see this?
They protest you, you know, out there in the city. I've seen vile words painted on walls. They say, Queen of Bastards. The work, I am sure, of some of your misguided subjects who mistakenly believe their queen to be unkind.
Who mistakenly believe their queen to be unkind is such a subtweet. Like, it's so brazen, it's so shocking. Rhaenyra could have cut off his head right there. Could have cut off his head right
But
there.
then she loses a dragon rider.
Well, this is a lot
Your
of
belly
oh
is
boy.
not your own. Got to keep that head on that neck. Interesting
Oh man,
stuff
wild
from him right on the heels of Corlys being like, "Your sons are bastards." Like,
Yeah,
Rhaenyra, not a good manager.
to have to suffer these challenges from everybody around you, it must be so fucking galling. But yeah, Rhaenyra's making some mistakes. It's just wild.
It's not great.
Orders Sir Adrian to have Luther find those responsible, and then later in the episode,
And again, gives no detailed instructions. Just make it go away.
make it go away, and then I'll bring them to you. Just and this, I think we talked about last episode. I think the like, can anybody else be relied upon to get stuff done? Why are all these people coming to Rhaenyra to say like, what about the candles? What about the price of wine? So like the just see to it, I think we kind of understood given how much it feels like it's directly on Rhaenyra's plate. But yeah, like what are you setting into motion and what will the consequences of that be? And, you know, it's what we see at the end of the episode with Luther and the Gold Cloaks abusing the citizens of King's Landing to try to identify the graffiti artists, pulling children away from their parents, throwing people down the stairs, swords coming out. First of all, very reminiscent of Daemon and the Gold Cloaks at the beginning of season 1.
ACAB forever.
But also reminiscent, Joe, of what we're seeing in Tumbleton, right?
All the worlds of Tumbleton.
The King's Landing citizens are not literal prisoners the way the Tumbleton citizens are, but like, what's the difference, right?
I wanted to read a bit of this email we got from our listener, Lauren. It's quite long, and I'm not going to do the whole, and I already cut it down. It's impossible. Lauren, you're so eloquent and beautiful. But like some of which we've already talked about, the Alicent and Daeron comp, just sort of like the way in which their positions are the same. The reminders of season 1 Alicent we're getting not just with the picked cuticles, but also like the powder blue nightgown that she's in that's very much the color she was wearing at the beginning of season 1, et cetera, et cetera. The framing, people have done these side by sides on like social media of the framing of Otto holding Alicent's face and Ormund holding Daeron's face. It's like the exact same sort of shot. But Lauren's like larger theme was the danger of expectations of a role overtaking a sense of self. I was thinking about this a lot when I was thinking about Rhaenyra and like Rhaenyra just being like, take care of it to the Gold Cloaks. When Rhaenyra does, I think, care about the people of King's Landing. She just doesn't think through consequences here. So Lauren says, Alicent is a Hightower who was thrust into the role of a Targaryen queen by Otto. Daeron is a Targaryen who Ormund is trying to craft into a Hightower king. Both are manipulated by a sense of love to their abusers and a false sense of duty that is what must be done to further the ambitions of Hightower men towards the throne. Rhaena and Aemond are a good comp. Both were looked down upon as children for their lack of dragons. As it is seen as the role of a Targaryen to be a dragon rider, both became so transfixed by this feeling of shortcoming and unworthiness. They not only claimed dragons, they claimed two of the most dangerous dragons who they then lost control of, killing Luke and Jace, respectively. That parallel of like those two killing the two strong boys. Look out, Joffrey. That's a spoiler. It's a joke. Even with Rhaenyra, she believes that the gods have mandated that she must be queen and is at a risk of losing herself trying to become the person she is told she must be. To quote Frigga in Endgame, everyone fails at who they are supposed to be, but to me, House of the Dragon is largely based around what a person gives up to try to become it. So what has Rhaenyra abandoned about herself, or what is she continuing to abandon about herself in order to fill this like queen role that she is told that she is supposed to be, and she was asked to be? Like she didn't really want it.
Want to eat cake and fly on her dragon.
Yeah, that's not really what she wanted. But like once she was told about the prophecy, once all these other things, it's like who she must be.
Yeah, a king or queen has to understand this. To sit the throne.
And who was Alicent before Otto set her on this path? And who is Daeron that we're in danger of watching him, become eroded? Aemond was actually a very sweet young boy, and like Rhaena, we barely knew you, so like hard to say. But like I think it's really interesting to think about, like, you have to be the most badass dragon rider, Aemond, or else you're nothing in your family, right? And Alicent, you have to go seduce the king or else you're not my daughter. Like, all of this shit is toxic. Generational trauma.
Yeah, and I mean, a character like Aemond, it's like the opposite had as much of a hold on him, too. Oh, we're going to mock you, the pink dread.
Right. So he has to turn himself
the humiliations of your childhood.
Yeah.
I always think it's a great email, and I always think of the Alicent moment with Otto. How could I know? Our hearts not as one conversation, and like, how could I even know what I wanted?
You always told me.
Yeah, you always told me. And then Rhaenyra, who had a sense of that, but that has been subsumed by these other things. And the moments, I think it's part of what's interesting about this story is the complexity inside of that tragedy, because to go back to the cinnamon and oranges and when won't we, like, that was a moment where Rhaenyra leaned in and it was like, Criston's pitch was, this is a burden. It's been thrust upon you. And she's like, this is my fucking birthright.
Yeah.
Right? Very rich text. Very rich text. Aegon, who grew up feeling completely ignored by his parents, who
masturbated out a window,
had the jack mattress,
molested.
He sure did.
A maid.
Kisses the boot, Joe.
He sure does. We got so many emails about this, and I would just like to thank our listeners aplenty. They were all like, do you think Larys is jealous that Aegon got to kiss the boot? I'm just going to read these 2 snippets. Tyler says, was I the only one expecting to see Larys's eyes widen with lust when Aegon was told to kiss that dude's feet? And AJ said, I felt sorry for Larys this episode. Dude is out here working hard and spending all his coin while Aegon is 2-handing dragon hugs and getting into foot stuff. Larys is like, that's my thing, man.
Foot stuff. I don't think Larys has a
shit cover boot.
A shit fetish. So this was probably not for him.
Yeah,
but
he likes the bare tootsies.
Bare toes.
Yeah.
The bare toes. Remarkable that so many people
want to think
about
the bad babies.
that. The bad babies are just, they always deliver. My goodness. This is where Aegon finds out that the realm thinks he's dead and that Aemond is to blame. And it's interesting, unsurprising, given the tension and history between those 2 brothers, that so much of Aegon's rage right now is directed toward Aemond. Like this would be unbearable for him. That, especially after what actually did transpire at Rook's Rest,
right?
What Aemond has done to him, and Aemond, of course, embarrassed at the brothel, etc. For Aemond to, in this sick, twisted interpretation of it, basically have gotten the victory, have gotten credit for besting Aegon would just be unbearable for Aegon here, clearly. So he's focused on Aemond. He's like not even focusing on Rhaenyra, which is just fascinating. Totally forgets himself, right? Leaves himself vulnerable. Think that the challenge here to Janos is not wise, but as you and Van brought up on Talk to Thrones, comes from like this is how you run this camp?
Right.
Right? Kind of
interesting.
interesting.
People starve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also then having to confront, okay, without your dragon, without your name, without your power, without the stature of who you are, how do you inspire respect, fear, consideration of any sort?
It's not even like inspire, it's like command. Because he's used to just like demanding and getting what he wants. And now
on the other end of the blade and the lips on the shit-covered boot. From shitty boots to charred heads. Daemon has a gift for Rhaenyra. He brings in the goat herder head. It's very crispy. He pretends it's sheep stealer's rider.
Can I just say, so they're small counseling before Daemon walks in, and Rhaenyra is, at first I was like, is she tapping on the table? She's cracking a hard-boiled egg. She has a little snack. And it just reminded me of like, we were talking about the cracker scene in the previous episode, but I'm just sort of like, this is real. Joanna had a Baby Bell and a mini Snickers for lunch at the office. Like energy.
Very relatable.
Mallory had Uncrustable. Like she's eaten like hard-boiled eggs and crackers because she's not sitting down for a full meal. She's a lady on the go.
The only time she has for full meals is to serve
wrap banquets.
her guest wraps.
Yeah, it's wrap banquets or it's snacks. This is it. These are the 2 options.
Great stuff.
Or like she tries to sit down to a meal with Corlys and he's like, can you give me this impossible thing?
That's
and
right.
She's like, God damn it.
All business all the time. A hard-boiled egg, it's a good snack though.
Protein rich.
Protein rich, wonderful. Yeah, there you go. Protein. Rhaenyra would dig this current protein craze.
She's protein maxing.
There's a lot of hilarity in this scene before we get to the tense conversation between Rhaenyra and Daemon. Torrin Manderly pulling his goblet further away from the charred head, probably topping the list. That was so funny.
Dan Fogler's really doing it. It's really doing the thing.
Damon looking at him, would you please explain who this is?
Yeah.
Hysterical. Yeah. And then the I'm the clever one exchange, just incredible. But also this is a big character moment, right? Because Daemon has chosen to lie to Rhaenyra in order to protect his kid. Was the choice to protect the kid. But
That's what the text says. Fine. Mysaria knows.
She did say last week she could sniff a lie.
Smells a lie.
On it. Knows Daemon well and does not believe for a second that what he's saying here is true. Not for a second. On the Daemon Mysaria front, Daemon wants the gold to go to paying the city watch. Mysaria wants it to go to the small folk. And Rhaenyra sides with Mysaria here. Alms for the small folk.
So like my question is, can we like split the funds?
Split it.
Then no one's happy maybe, but like, I don't know.
I think wanting to help the small folk is good.
Yeah.
Not paying your
cops.
Army is bad. And taking the allegiance and adherence of your pledged supporters for granted continues to be a concern. Like she basically says, Daemon, you're their guy there. Just tell him to like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not ideal, I'd say.
Our listener who identified themselves as Grape, I don't know what their actual name is. Maybe it's Grape.
Could be.
Wrote in to mention an anachronism in the text here, which I think is fun because Daemon says it'll be Bedlam in the street. And Bedlam comes from like the mental hospital Bedlam, which is as far as I know, not in Westeros. Meat's back on the menu, boys. It'll be Bedlam in the streets.
Not the Oklahoma State college football rivalry game, Bedlam.
Oh, I didn't know that's what it's
started.
called.
How long, we have to wonder, until Mysaria shares the suspicion with Rhaenyra about Daemon, or just outright looks for facts?
I think she's going to gather more information before she just goes like, "Do you think Daemon's lying?" Because I think she knows Daemon has Rhaenyra's ear, Mysaria has Rhaenyra's ear, and I think if she's going to come and say your closest ally is lying to you,
you got to have the receipts.
You got to have some receipts.
Yeah,
but I don't know how you do that other than bringing like someone said they saw a sheep stealer. Like, what do you do?
Well, this is part of what, so on that front, I think part of what made me like, oh boy, nervous for Daemon here. And again, as you said, there's like a lot of adaptive changes here. So who knows? Rhaena's like, okay, I'm going to live a life of exile, and flies away, charges toward Daemon and flies away. But like Daemon just saying, killed the rider, sheep stealer, fled, you're never going to see him again. That seems risky as hell. Oh, yeah. At any point, she's like, Rhaena could fly back.
No one else will tame a wild dragon. Don't worry about it. I just didn't think she was leaving. I thought she was just like leaving the cave and planning to come back to the cave.
Yeah, when he left. That was my read too. But like, even if we go to another mountain, though, I have to think they built that set, assuming they would use it again. Who knows? That's just nuts if you're Daemon. Yeah. Like, it's very risky. So Jeyne Arryn, he says to Rhaena, he reminds the audience that Jeyne Arryn knows that. Of course, we saw Jeyne Arryn and Rhaena interact. Is Mysaria going to hit up a little bird?
The veil set? I have some questions about why they built that full
around
veil set.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, right?
So is like Mysaria going to send someone?
Part of being the mistress of whispers is cultivating sources, which, like we saw the White Worm operate. Mysaria has a penchant for that, right? Is good at it. If you're doing this in the seat of power across the realm, you have to have your little birds, as Vera showed us, everywhere.
I feel like Jeyne is the only possible source here. Like,
or even just someone in Jeyne's camp who witnessed Rhaena,
but we don't know, like,
there.
I mean, that wouldn't be veil. I feel like one of Jeyne's dogs. I don't know.
You solved it again. You solved it again. Ormund is a vampire who happens to be a daywalker, and Jeyne Arryn's dogs are going to tell Mysaria exactly what is going on. That's probably how the season ends.
Put me in the writer's room.
Condal, call her. Just make sure you have baby bells.
I need the baby bells.
They are delicious.
Pay me only in baby bells.
String cheese here today.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Immediately? You just asked for that like a few days ago.
Connor rules.
Wow, you command respect. Molly went up to the front counter. She's like,
she made a request.
Incredible team here at Sycamore. And she was just sort of like, what if we had string cheese? And the look of horror on my face, you're like, not instead of the baby bells.
Never instead of the baby bells.
In addition to.
The old why not both?
Protein.
The old why not both. And then those little meat sticks. Delicious.
That's a you thing. They
help get me through the day. As you noted, there's no time for actual meals right now. Our schedules are fucking batshit. That's fine. We're doing great. Everything's good. Rhaenyra has some questions about this head, right? I wanted to see him. I wanted to look on the one who killed my son. To punish him yourself, Daemon says. Do you think that would end your grief? What crumbs of it may be snatched, I will devour. This is what Rhaenyra said to Daemon previously about justice. I will never have justice, but what crumbs of it may be snatched, I will devour. So this idea that like Rhaenyra didn't get the clarity. Snacks. Delicious. What crumbs of the little pita on my snack tray may be devoured. Didn't get closure, didn't get clarity, but also once again did not get to exert her agency. Right, Joe?
I guess on the one hand, on the other hand, when Otto was in front of her, she's like, I don't want to do this. So like.
And she did.
I mean,
took 2 strokes, but she did it. Very tense dynamic between Mysaria,
I really like
what
Condal said on Inside the Episode, which you wrote in the notes here. But like, I think Rhaenyra is surprised, honestly, by her emotional reaction to it. In the moment, just realizes that she feels cheated out of the satisfaction of taking vengeance herself. You pour that into the next scene, right? When Rhaenyra goes to see Alicent. To go from her looking at that skull and feeling like, I don't have closure, I don't have vengeance, I don't have whatever, to this gesture for Alicent of like, I will send Otto's body, here's his ring. Yeah. Just sort of like trying to give Alicent a crumb of something that she was not able to receive with this barbecued head of a goat herder that she got.
The billowing rage into humanity and the ability to feel like there's some goodness left in the world. I thought it was interesting, too, that Rhaenyra in that moment with Alicent invoked Viserys. It's what he would have wanted, which felt like kind of a reminder of this tie that they share, but also like a little bit of a almost like self-preservation shield, right?
Oh, he
what he would have wanted.
It's
It's also what she would have wanted, but she can't say that.
Queen,
Yeah.
but Dad would have wanted this.
Pregnancy reveal.
Oops. Helena's pregnant. I do just think this is Aegon's kid. I don't think there's any
I
mystery
think
to
so,
it. I
too.
think the timeline is confusing some people because it's been 2 years since the show was on, but like it has not been that long
Since Rook's Rest, yeah.
since Rook's Rest. And like, did it happen right before? Did it happen even like, I don't even think the coronation was that long ago. Like it could have been like a post-coronation celebration fuck from Aegon or whatever that I'm sure Helaena deeply enjoyed. But like, but I think she just has Aegon's. She's pregnant with Aegon's kid.
I think so too. And if it's not, the realm will still assume it is, so it's a problem either way. But I agree. I think it is.
I was
almost certainly
so
Aegon's kid.
taken by what Fia who said about this, about how Helaena feels so powerless in her own life, and this is something that is just hers.
Yeah, on not even wanting to tell Alicent.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is something that Van brought up on Talk of Thrones, where he's just like, I love this. It just really immediately deepens Helena's character in just like an extremely fascinating way for her to have the secret from Alicent, for her to have her own interior life to some degree. I think it's really, really good.
And Helaena has lost a child. You know, we see what Rhaenyra...
Remember Blood and Cheese? It happened.
It sure did happen. Rhaenyra, the loss of Luke, the loss of Jace is inextricable from every aspect of Rhaenyra's
Did that make you feel
life right
better?
now. Did it make you feel... Right. Yes. Helaena asking that. Not only Jaehaerys' death, but Helaena in that room, witnessing it, being forced into pointing, all of that. Like, what a horrible thing. And so this fear, though this is just for me, but also this fear undeniably. And you see the fear and you see the alarm on Alicent's face right away here. Because the realm, there's the question of the realm, right? If this is another heir. And we mentioned on Talk the Thrones, but just to say very quickly again, there's another kid in the books who's like a toddler. So we were like, where's this other kid? The timeline
George
is
R.
different.
Martin was like, where's this other kid?
George R. Martin, the infamous Beware the Butterflies post that had to be taken down was about many things. Ultimately, it was going to be like a 6-part series, if I recall. Is that right? That might be apocryphal. I don't know.
I think that's true. He's like, this is part 1. Then he's like, oops, HBO Legal called me.
Unbelievable. So
release the other parts.
Again, you are the challenge, right? Like, and that, I always quote the you are the challenge part, but the first part of that feels almost more relevant here because young Jack Mattress Aegon was like, then I won't challenge, right?
Rhaena the unfortunate Jack Mattress Aegon.
Does it track? Does it fit? You are the challenge. You are the challenge, Aegon, simply by living and breathing. Just existing makes the heirs threats to Rhaenyra or Rhaenyra's line.
You know.
So what does the realm think? But what does Rhaenyra think? And what's Rhaenyra going to do?
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra was horrified by Blood and Cheese, right? Horrified by a kid being killed.
The math is different now.
Tender toward Helaena, but the circumstances have changed. The Daemon death conundrum last week now through this lens and this context. Very worrying.
I also think it's interesting, like Alicent obviously is going to lie to Rhaenyra to protect Helaena. Like, zero doubt about that.
You got to try, but it's a pregnancy. You can only do it for so long.
The wheels are turning in her head of like, how can I cover this? Like, that's absolutely what's going on for Alicent.
Yeah.
Daemon lying to Rhaenyra about Rhaena. This sort of like Last of Us kind of like circling of the wagons of like who is the us and who is the them. You know what I mean? And like Daemon has made his sort of like team of 2 with Rhaena. Like it's Rhaenyra is supposed to be his inner circle, but he has sort of like split it over and made in that moment Rhaena his inner circle. And I mean, Alicent and Helaena, duh, like that's just what it's been. But like Rhaenyra kind of coming to rely on Alicent a little bit for advice and stuff like that. Now here's this like impossible wedge between them.
I think it's particularly interesting that we saw Alicent immediately reveal that's not Daeron last week, right? It's practical. You're not going to be able to maintain cover forever, and then you'd be blamed for not sharing that, but also trying to secure a release.
Yeah.
Offering up the Ormond smell info. Giving Rhaenyra information, being a good source of intelligence amid her imprisonment, and trying to secure release. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that with this. Yeah. You can't barter with this information. It's too precious for the thing that Alicent, since the season 2 finale, that pitched to Rhaenyra was,
I want to get
Helaena.
All I want. All I want is Helaena and Jaehaera.
Yeah, my girl and my daughter and my granddaughter are for us to be safe. For the war to end, sure, but like for us to be safe. This is in peril now.
Unsafe.
Speaking of peril, Ormond forces Daeron to bloody his blade. Ormond is keeping Tessarion chained in the sept in Tumbleton. The symbolism of this, the Hightower attempt to control.
Like neuter.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great neuter.
The Targaryen force. A lot of emails asking how they got that dragon into that sept, which seemed like it
was the door too small for a dragon to come through? I can't remember.
It was like in the basement. It was like a sept basement situation.
Do you think the roof retracts like the dome of a stadium?
That's it. Jane Eyre's dogs. Retractable roof in Tumbleton.
Professionals.
The technology has developed in Tumbleton to retract roofs.
Oh man, we talk a lot about the dragon hubris with Targs, Joe, but this is some dragon hubris from Ormond here, I think. Boy,
sweet cream puff blue queen Tessarion.
I love these two.
We'll fly again.
My girl.
My girl. I mean, Aegon said my
boy.
Yeah,
this bond is a sacred thing. And
what do you think Rhaena says to Sheepy? My man.
That's a great question. I hope we get to find out. I love Sheep Stealer. Oh man. They love each other. They just want to fly. I don't know. You see the bond. You see this nuzzle. You see this affection. And you think like Ormond can't possibly convince Daeron that this part of him is wrong and bad and foul, the taint as Ormond puts it. But that's the hideous, noxious effect that a presence in your life, an abusive, toxic presence in your life can have.
Our listener Chris sent in this screenshot of a tweet from someone who goes by Alicent Pilled Hightower Self.
Incredible.
On Twitter. It's the shot of young Alicent and Rhaenyra in the sept when they were sort of kneeling in front of all the candles there. And then the shot of Tessarion and Daeron. And the caption here is Alicent being raised in King's Landing away from her family and clinging to religion as her last connection to her house. And Daeron being raised in Old Town and doing the same with Tessarion. Sad.
Very sad. Daeron is a prisoner here.
Poor boy.
And I'm not sure if you've heard, but a dragon is not a slave.
No. I wouldn't put him in chains personally.
Remember when Dany chained 2 of her dragons in the catacombs of Marine? That was a mistake.
Really well.
That was a mistake.
Where's Tyrion when you need him?
I know, Jesus. Tessarion roaring at Ormond.
Ugh, get your hands off my boy.
I love this. One of my favorite passages from Fire and Blood. Some will claim that the bond between a dragon and dragon rider runs so deep that the beast shares his master's loves and hates. So there's the idea that just Tessarion is like so good, right? Yeah. And Tessarion is just like, fuck this guy, and I know that on my own. But also that we have plenty of reason to believe that this is a reflection of Daeron's real feelings about Ormond. So that feels important.
When Ormond's talking about the problem with Rhaenyra, and he says, the brutes raise a woman to the Iron Throne, a desecration. Where is reason? Where is propriety? Did you think of where is duty? Where is sacrifice? It's trampled under your pretty foot again. The Hightower script.
And I was thinking of that scene also, Joe, when Ormond is attempting to do his best Tywin with Tommen, what makes a good king lesson, and says, a righteous king must demonstrate he upholds many virtues, honor, wisdom, justice. And then Daeron's like, well, what about mercy? That sounds like something your father would say. Exhausting, wasn't it? Hiding beneath the cloak of your own righteousness in that same scene. But now they see you as you are. Like the idea that Ormond is cloaking himself in this idea of righteous action and justice and, the faith.
Under
and then
bringing
under his pretty little foot, bathed. And I'm sure he does smell great because he's obsessed with it. Exactly. Bringing Leo in there to have Daeron stab him in the shadow of the steppe. It's just, oof, boy. The parallels here are delicious, but it's also just very, 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 very painful. Ormond has a plan, though. Corlys, can we see this clip?
You are a good boy. You speak kindly, and you say your prayers. I have raised you in the light of the Seven, and the Father smiles upon you. But there is a taint in your blood. The Targaryens are a savage race. Poor in intellect, but rich in cunning. With dark spells, they created abominations to subdue what was rightly ours. We are the superior men, but against that, we could not stand.
Get him.
Man.
We should ask Paula about the Tessarian.
Oh, yeah, let's.
sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We need the Paula Intel and the Tessarian sound design.
Yeah.
Yes. Treasonous and shocking language, more so even than what we hear from Raymond, because Ormond is like, I'm a general for Team Green and talking this way. Making Daeron feel ashamed of who he is, horrible. And then he's like, here's my plan. I'm going to make you king.
You're
right?
king.
You're king. And Darren's like, what about my brothers? Completely aghast. Ormond invokes this ancient order.
Alyn's hand of the queen.
There's a real come up for everybody here.
Darren's king.
He's
King
like
of Tumbleton.
Pre-dragon, right? Pre-conquest, the olden days of Hightower kings. I'll rule in the shadows. I'll puppet master and puppeteer like Tywin. He doesn't know about Tywin. Tywin's in the future, but we do.
Yeah.
But this is all about the idea that the Hightower should have been, and it's galling to him.
We're the superior men.
They have to be the right
cheated.
hand
They
for the
cheated.
Targs?
Absolutely not. Galling.
Boy, that sounds like something your father would say. We talked about this on Talk of Thrones, but real, like, welcome back into our hearts Viserys moment for us. The mercy there's a place for mercy. There has to be.
Shuffle your little long walk into our hearts.
Oh, man. I did think it was really interesting given how Ormond and many others vilify the Targs, that the thing he's bumping on with Viserys is this inheritance of mercy, of the room for mercy. I thought that was, which of course he sees as weakness, right? And then Daeron stabs Leo.
We wanted to talk about something that is different from the book, and we don't think this is a spoiler, really, but skip ahead if you want to be like extra sensitive about
The next
it.
thing is the book spoilers anyway, so if you don't want to hear this, and we're heading right into the book spoilers after this, so you've been warned.
We should say at this point in the book, Daeron has already been battle tested, and so this would not be like a first kill for Daeron, and I think it's a really interesting adaptive choice to... Like, Daeron's intro is so dramatic in the book, and this is a very different intro for him. But I think, like, bringing us inside of this moment of loss of innocence for Daeron, for us to see his first kill versus, like, you know, he's a soldier boy. Like, he has done things, you know, Daeron the daring. Like, what's so daring about him? And it's just sort of like, and to see him just, like, shaking and doing this horrifying thing, I think is such a much more interesting, compelling character moment.
And, like, the proximity, like, it's his hand that is forced to thrust.
Right, it's not
the
dragging
blade.
back.
It's not from, like, up high, right?
Yeah.
Book spoilers?
And now we begin.
Okay, boy.
Now tens. Sorry.
What if Tessarian had channeled Ned there and been like, no.
Now tens.
That would have been great. Oh, man. Okay, Tumbleton the town, let's just say, never fully recovers from first and second Tumbleton. So showing us life in this town, these people.
They built a whole town so they could burn it. That's why they built the biggest set yet, so they could burn an entire fucking town.
We've got first Tumby coming.
Yeah.
We've got second Tumby coming. We've got all the horrors in between.
Or as other people like to call it, Tumble 1, Tumble 2.
Tumble 1 is so good. Oh, man. Lady Footly, an important character moving forward, kind of in charge of these restoration efforts. One of the touch the dragon skull for a penny with Vermi and Smokey.
Vermithor and Sea Smoke, who die
horribly
at Tumble 2.
So many.
I reread that section
So many
this morning.
characters die in this location.
Yeah.
Human and dragon.
Yeah.
Ugh.
A lot of dragons die here. And Lady Footly's like, we're rebuilding.
Yeah.
And so we're going to mount some dragon skulls. And if you want to touch it, and if you want to, you know, whatever, it'll cost you. That's part of her reconstruction efforts.
Do you think they're going to do the Lady Footly, John Roxton
sexual assault thing? I don't know. They seem in their sexual assault era, so I hope not.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Okay. The Ormond odor stuff.
Yeah.
So Ormond is, again, we're in the spoiler section. Well, we just spoiled a bunch of shit already, so hopefully you heard that and took it seriously. He's killed by Rodney the Ruin at Tumble 1.
But we're just not sure that they're going to let James Norton go so readily, but maybe they will.
I kind of hope not. There are more characters. It's weird. I feel like he kind of has to be gone for some of the other stuff that happens to happen to make sense, but also
we're going to come back to another theory of how they could use him.
You dropped an email in here that I was like, whoa, had
Super
not considered it. Really good. Roddy the Ruin must fucking reek.
That guy does not smell good.
Is it just like he gets near Ormond and he's like, oh, he's dead? Or do you think we got some theories? Is there
yeah,
another?
a listener Nicola wrote in with an email titled Chekhov's Poppers.
Unbelievable.
I feel like Ormond's scented bottle is getting almost as much airtime as the cat in Cape Fear. My mind, shout out Cape Fear listeners, love you. My mind did also go immediately to Dragon are spraying mayhem, as Malcolm Tucker would say, but I also wonder if the bottle itself might be tampered with.
Ooh, I like that theory.
So like his little sniffer, like could you put some poison in there, something like that?
What if Daeron does it?
That would be really fun if Darren's
that
like,
would be satisfying. Oh boy, I love that.
and then just like blood comes out of the nose and
that'd be great. I don't want Roddy the Ruin to be denied that kill, but it would obviously be more meaningful if Daeron got to
or help
take his vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Daeron the Daring, you mentioned Tessarion and Daeron got up to some shit at Honeywine, and then just in general defending the march along the road. There's no dragon riding battle experience coming now before Tumbleton.
So is Tumble 1 going to be the debut
It kind of feels like it has
of
to
Daeron
be.
on Dragonback? And is it going to be a surprise? Because we haven't seen Daeron on. So can it still be a surprise the way that Daeron showing up on Tessarion in the Battle of Honeywine is a surprise?
That has real Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet potential to me of like
Well,
they know
I don't think they would have forgot. Well, but like, yeah, good point.
Would I be shocked if they
forgot, but just sort of like
not taking it seriously? Is
yeah,
correct because he's
a boy.
Because Darren's young and Tessarion's little.
Just a boy.
It's entirely possible. What do you think about?
Speaking of Tumble 1.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 betrayers.
Yeah.
Obviously, the setup for this just continues to be great. I don't really know that we even need to say anything more than that. Like, you sent Hugh there because his wife is there. That's obviously why. And again, this will be a reveal to us because his wife, this isn't a thing in the book, but like, and clearly they're going to be like, burn the town. He's going to say no.
Ormond from like miles away shakes a bottle at Ulf and is like, Ulfie, there's booze here. Arbor gold.
Or again, I'm now like, I can't stop thinking about the fact that Ormond witnessed Daemon mocking. This guy's castle? Well, go offer him a castle. It's done.
What James Norton said in the behind the scenes was like, he was like, Ormond's a consummate chess player, right? So he's just like constantly making his moves. And this idea that like, and what I think Emma Darcy it was who said like that, and she used the English pronunciation, which you love, that Ormond has become the bogeyman for Rhaenyra. Just this sort of like this wraith, this phantom that she doesn't understand his psychology, so she can't anticipate his movements. I think that's interesting. So like, yeah.
One more L for Criston. He thinks he's the wraith, but someone else is. So tough.
Gwayne. All right, Gwayne. So the question was like, is Criston going to kill, you wrote in the notes, is Criston going to kill Gwayne for trying to abandon him, or will he just die at the butcher's ball like Criston? And like, a lot of people anticipate that. So the preview that they showed at the end of this episode was like the rest of the season preview. It wasn't just next week on. Because I think a lot of people saw that and were like, oh my God, are we getting Tumbleton and Butcher's Ball next week?
In the weeks ahead.
Yeah, in the weeks ahead trailers. Yeah. So we're definitely not getting Tumbleton next week. A lot of people are wondering if we're going to get Butcher's Ball next week because Criston Cole is so like, let's go do some guerrilla warfare sort of thing. So could Criston Cole die as early as next week? Could Gwayne die with him?
Right.
In that weeks ahead trailer, there is a line from Criston Cole where he says they will sing songs of it. And our listener Aiden was like, I literally busted out laughing. Because if you're in the book spoiler section and you don't know, Criston's like, when he's about to die at the Butcher's Ball, he's like, let's do a mighty duel and it'll be great. And they'll sing songs of it or whatever. And like,
and then songs about how brave you died.
No
thousands dead on your account.
No songs for you, Kingmaker. Fuck you. You're dead.
It's like maybe the best line of the book.
Kind of.
I can't wait to hear it.
Absolutely baller. But like, what if they change it? I don't know. Sometimes they change it.
I feel like now hearing the songs thing in the tease for the rest of the season makes me feel like they're actually going to give us that line. Like they know it's iconic and we have to get it.
Here's our listener Simon's theory about Gwayne, though.
Tell me.
And we should say in the trailer,
the final season trailer.
There's so what's the shot? Because your shot was different from the shot I was referencing.
So and this is different from book spoilers. This is a trailer breakdown.
Trailer
thing.
Spoiler.
We have no idea because like in the book spoiler section we can say Gwayne is killed in King's Landing.
Already dead.
He's dead. This is all new canon for Gwayne. There's a shot of Gwayne in the final trailer, which you your note last night reminded me. I went back and looked. Like he's kind of swinging his blade at somebody. You can't see who it is in the scene, but he is now, because we've spent time at Tumbleton, clearly in Ormond's Tumbleton room.
There's also an overhead shot but it's far away, but it's an overhead shot of Gwayne, Ormond, and Jon riding on horses through the streets of Tumbleton.
Okay.
So Gwayne is making it to Tumbleton.
Okay. So he's not going to be killed.
He's not going to be unless his ghost is at Tumbleton. But like,
would be
Gwayne is making good news for Daeron. Gwayne's making it to Tumbleton.
That's great.
We're very excited. Simon wrote in to suggest that Gwayne will take over Hobart Hightower's role as leader of the Caltrops.
I love this.
So Gwayne has been characterized as having a close relationship with Daeron. If Ormond gets taken off the table by Roddy the Ruin in Tumble 1, shout out Simon, Gwayne and Daeron will be the only forces to lead the Hightower host in opposition to both Blacks and the two betrayers, Ulf and Hugh. We could see Gwayne and Daeron attempt to steer the Green cause in a more morally upright, noble direction, just as Rhaenyra and the Blacks begin to totter from paranoia into cruelty, an inversion of the Blacks' virtuous narrative that the show has owed us for some time. I really loved that sentence.
Yeah.
The audience's first impression of Gwayne is as a charismatic, rich douchebag, a privileged pretty boy who is content to look down his aquiline nose at the up-jumped cutthroat Criston Cole. Even in season 3, episode 4, we hear Criston bitterly decry Gwayne's highborn view of the war as just a game to be played from the comfort of their stately featherbeds. The fact that we are now generally on Gwayne's side, given that he wishes to uphold Army's prohibition against assault, while Criston is mired in suicidal nihilism, is a testament to the efficiency of the characterization and the depravity of Criston's character alike. If Gwayne ends his life, so again, this is Gwayne in the Hobart Hightower role.
Right.
If Gwayne ends his life by drinking poison to take out Ulf, or maybe killing Hugh, though we have John Roxton on the show, so maybe not, it continues this profound ambiguity with regard to class and privilege. On the one hand, Gwayne will be taking out a destabilizing, dangerous, and possibly depraved dragon rider for the betterment of the continent. Ulf's a real piece of shit in the book. On the other, however, he will be reinforcing the feudal system of power against a rare commoner who managed to subvert those structures, especially given that the show's depiction of the Seeds has been way more complex than Hugh is a violent brute and Ulf is a rapist depiction we get in the book. So, like, I love this idea for Gwayne, right? Like this idea that he will, and like so I went back and reread the section where Hobart like brings the two casks of wine and one is poisonous, one is not, and he's hoping he can like get away, like envisioning all of that with Freddie Fox.
Very exciting.
And like that's a season 4 possibility, right? Because that's like if Tumble 1, as we think, is going to end the season,
has to,
then Tumble 2 is next season. So we get Freddie Fox all into season 4 and in this much more prominent role, and like as someone we can root for with Daeron. Like I love this idea.
I think that this is particularly exciting on the Gwayne Daeron front.
Yeah.
Given the complexity of like, because I have questions with
get those two gingers together.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Just in general, what Daeron, is there a version of this where even after Ormond is gone, perhaps Daeron takes a hand in it, like we just discussed, but what is Daeron's relationship to the idea of being crowned going to be? Because it's very different in the book, but that is kind of an idea. And then the challenge, Hugh is like, well, I'm going to be the king.
I mean, that's not something that character is going to say at all. No.
Yeah, so there's a lot to figure out there. Gwayne, there's so many Hightower characters missing. Obviously, Hobart is the book to show change in terms of where he is in the family tree is different. Does Ormond in the show have kids?
I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like it. So that's a little bit interesting in terms of some of the ripples of like.
I think Daeron is probably his heir inside of the world of the show.
Yeah. So there's just like fewer characters total. There's also a like, okay, Ormond's heir isn't going to like lead to a Hightower faith rift because he's basically like, I'll do some incest. Like, let me fuck my stepmom. It makes sense to just use the Hightower characters we have to drive that plot.
Yeah, like efficiency of character use. The same way we use Rhaena for Nettles and stuff like that. We're using a Hightower who's been with us now for 2 seasons. Yeah. And that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm into it. Sunfyre and Aegon. Joanna, I'm
worried this is a season finale thing.
I'm just like, how long are they going to drag this out? Because I really am enjoying the Aegon and Larys stuff, but I do think it at a certain point defies believability that they can get away with being there for that long without being detected. Now, maybe that comes. There is that shot in the trailer of Aegon like looking up. Maybe they're detected, imperiled, and Sunfyre rises to save them. That's like possible, I guess.
And just like roasts Janos in his shitty boots.
That would be great. I would love that.
I feel like this is a season finale thing.
Yeah.
Tumble 1 and Aegon gets on Sunfyre. They're among other things.
I mean, that would be this. Just I have so many questions about this because, like, obviously in the
Alice rides Vhagar.
She's gonna ride something. Oh man, yeah. Finale seems penultimate or finale feels right.
Yeah,
at this
maybe
point.
penultimate.
Helaena.
So there's a shot in the trailer that we were sort of trying to puzzle over, and it looks like maybe Helaena giving birth. She doesn't seem that far, so if she gives birth, we had thought maybe this was like an Aemond dream, Harrenhal dream.
Right.
So maybe it's still an Aemond Harrenhal dream, or maybe like she goes into early labor, or I don't know what's going to happen. Will she die in childbirth instead? Will she jump out the window because of whatever happens to her baby?
Right.
Maelor, her baby in the book, does die horribly.
Yes.
Is this baby going to be born and die horribly, and that sends Helaena out the window? I don't know.
I'm just so concerned.
It's going to be horrible.
Awful.
The way that they've used, and also sort of like this question of like, for Olivia Cook to say in the behind the scenes, like, gonna make her take moon tea or something else or whatever. And if you couple that with Helaena saying no living creature will be harmed earlier in the season, like, I don't think that's something Helaena wants.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and there's the obviously everything with Maelor and his death, Bitterbridge, is horrific. Horrific. There's something about this now being at the Red Keep, whatever is going to happen. We genuinely don't know, because this will be different from the book canon, but like,
is Mysaria
it's a foot away from all of our character, like, it's in the same halls that Rhaenyra's in. Alicent is right there. Is Mysaria? Yeah, what role does Mysaria play, either in this or Helena's eventual death? Because like, there's so much speculation around Helena's death in the book, but one of the whispers is like Mysaria sharing what happened with Maelor, right? So I don't know. This is gonna be so tough. Daemon and Nettles. Speaking of Mysaria, so she's the one who's like whispering about the affair to Rhaenyra. Just a clean swap here.
Or she could also, if she finds out from Jeyne's dogs that there is, sorry.
I say keep going with it until you have absolutely no ability to think it could be true. Lean in.
As we know. Cinta just rolled that speed.
That's exactly right.
In Andor. When Jeyne's dogs report to Mysaria that it's a young lady on the back of Sheepstealer, could Mysaria say like, Daemon's clearly fucking this girl? Or could it just be like, even if it is his daughter, he married his niece.
Targaryens
love incest.
You're right.
It's not off the table, unfortunately.
Jesus. You're right.
Summer of Incest continues apace.
Maegor returned. Completely valid fear from the ruler who will be known as...
I did a real Leo pointing meme when she was just sort of like, they'll name me Maegor. I was like, Maegor returned. I was like, close. Maegor with teats.
It's going to be even worse.
It's going to be worse.
Maegor with teats is so brutal. Speaking of teats, the cunt and cock tax. Celtigar done.
Did anyone consider it
tax? Okay, so
Tormund Manderly,
he's going to do the tax.
Maybe.
Celtigar is so derided and despised by the citizens of King's Landing for the tax that he is gelded, his head is cut off. They can't do that with Tormund Manderly because he's too important of a figure in the Regency.
If they are doing the Regency at all. Our listener Ash also said, because Celtigar is not a master of coin, perhaps Celtigar to be one of the men who betrays Rhaenyra and opens the gate of dragon. Like,
this feels right to me.
He's the guy at Dragonstone who we still kind of know who he is, but Celtigar needs to, I don't know.
Yeah, though it's funny because I kind of was reading this email was like, oh, do they just have him do it instead of Alfred?
Oh yeah,
but then we had the whole traitor, very dramatic Harrenhal where would whisper to Broom. That would be kind of a waste. That said, it's possible that they did all the Viserys cut by the throne stuff and then decided not to do that with Rhaenyra. So, you tend your garden in real time.
You do tend your garden in real time.
Oh, man. Any other Eerie-based theories?
Well, the Eerie. So on House of the Dragon, they mentioned that they rebuilt the entire set.
Yeah.
Super expensive.
Maybe
time-consuming.
This show loves a mural. Maybe they just really wanted to paint that mural.
For why? Because spoilers, I guess, if you're in the spoiler section, they don't,
Yeah.
They asked Lady Jeyne later to send some troops. She's like, sure, by sea later. She's barely in the rest of the story, kind of. So, in that capacity, in that her throne would be important. So, is it so that Mysaria can go there and hear from her dogs?
must be that. Exactly that.
Rhaena. Or, on History of Westeros podcast, they were wondering if maybe they're going to use it for the Aegon's Conquest show. And it's just sort of a set that they could use later.
Oh, that's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it's just sort of like they were like, we want to get real thronesy with it.
I think it's
you
that.
know, but that's so spendy for
Yeah.
them to do. Okay, the shepherd.
Yeah.
All right, so Michael wrote in to say, so the shepherd is this figure that still needs to show up on the show, this like very important leader of the common folk who's got this anti-Targ, anti-dragon sentiment, a rabble-rouser sort of leader. Michael says the most powerful thing the show can do is make Criston Cole the shepherd. I hate that because I think we need to watch Criston Cole die, and also Fabian Frankel seems like real clear that he's done with the show.
I also think this is like, this would run the risk of, with respect to the idea, everyone has to be a Skywalker, like the anti-broom boy. It's like, let's get other characters in the mix and have them play a real part in the events.
I just really disagree with you because I like the idea that the shepherd is someone we already know, just like someone disfigured it in disguise. So I don't think it should be Criston Cole.
No, it can't. Kristen's he's gotta die at Butcher's Ball.
I do love Broom Boy.
Yeah. So who do you think it should be if it's someone we know?
So our listener Webb suggested Ormond. If Ormond doesn't die at Tumble 1, but instead gets disfigured somehow and like cast out or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like James Norton gets to show up, you know, in a different guise to sort of like in disguise rouse the rabble and storm the dragon pit, et cetera, like, is that a possible? You hate it?
I just think
I just think we should already know the shepherd by now if we're going to like.
I think as my general response to that is like agreement. I think it's always interesting if we know the characters. I guess the counterweight on that for me, which I think the scales are fairly even on this, but I think the other side of it is pulling slightly more strongly on me. First of all, just to quickly acknowledge the Ormond thing specifically, guy can't handle the smell of being around the small folk at King's Landing. But
like maybe this is his new life, his new fate.
I think that the idea
Ormond
that the shepherd is now I'm not going to think of anything else. The idea that the shepherd is like no one. There's been so much attention paid to the small folk. For the shepherd to end up being like a lord or lady, a member of a great house, feels to me like it slightly undercuts.
Is it Sylvie?
That I could see.
Yeah.
Like a character like a Diana or a Sylvie, somebody who we do know and have that history with, but fits the I am a member of the common folk. Sylvie's a great candidate because she said to Aemond way back when, it's the small folk like me who suffer. That I like because it gives us the check the box as someone we have an investment in already. I think the shepherd has to be a commoner. You would
prefer that to like them being manipulated by just a different lord. Yeah. Sort of like
again, I'm open to it if done well. Like the Alicent idea, there's something intriguing about
so
that.
Webb also said, I continue to think the shepherd could end up being Alicent. Her story is essentially finished in the book at this point, and the showrunners will almost certainly need to give her a substantial new arc. Making her the face of the anti-dragon movement would certainly accomplish that.
Like on the heels of Alicent having this journey of, I don't want this, I just want to escape with my daughter and my granddaughter, big bathtub. And then on the heels of Helena's death saying, the only thing I can do now is cloak myself in the righteousness again. I'm not uninterested in, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But there's a version of that I think could be interesting. Something like Sylvie feels, now I'm like, is that why Sylvie was back?
Interesting. I want to say one more thing, which is like, I can say, oh, this should be a character we already know. You can't just introduce him in the final season. But at the same time, like, we just met Ormond and I'm like deeply invested in Ormond and Daeron and stuff like that. So if done well, you can certainly do that. I mean, this might be controversial. The High Sparrow, like Jonathan Pryce, the High Sparrow, like never perfectly worked for me. So I'm just like a little worried
about the shepherd in general.
Yeah.
I always really liked Jonathan Pryce's High Sparrow, the overall faith militant plot. I did not enjoy.
Yeah. Jonathan Pryce is the best. Slow Horse is coming back soon.
I can't fucking wait.
Rhaena, Regency, or what? So Tom wrote in to say, if Rhaena can bond with Sheepstealer, will she also be able to hatch Mourning and bond with her during the Regency? I think this comes down to what you guys discussed a few episodes ago. The showrunners don't plan to adapt the Regency, so why set up plot points even if they are pretty integral to the story of Westeros and the Targs? Ironically, they have set up certain characters who will be important during the Regency very well. Alyn is obviously aged up, but the way he's being developed makes him set to be a key player for decades as well, as them building a connection between him and Baela. So basically, I included this from Tom, because like obviously the Dragon Rider bond thing, with the whole Sea Smoke thing seems like slightly less of
On the one hand,
a
they don't
thing.
care about dragon lore and canon. On the other hand, Sheepstealer would have to be
Dead.
dead. You can't have
Or
two
you can-
dragons at once unless they're,
Or can you?
well,
Anyway.
but Sheepstealer dying, which would be sad. Because Sheepstealer and Nettles, it's just like, and then they
And
vanish.
then they vanish.
So like
You'll
Sheepstealer
never
could
see
die.
me
And then
again.
Rhaena going from, because I first read this and I was like, it's impossible. But Sheepstealer dying, which would be sad. And then Rhaena, who went from my life is defined by Rhaena the Unfortunate, I have no dragon, to claiming a wild dragon, never been done. And then having an egg hatched to her and Mourning being born as this like symbol for Team Black as like the superior side. Not uninterested. The show just being like, you can have two dragons, I think would not sit well with the fandom.
In terms of the like Regency math, in terms of like how long does the story continue after Rhaenyra dies, which
Right.
is a question we've been debating in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
As we mentioned before, Torrhen Manderley being here feels like it could be an indicator that they're planning to do some of it. But like, I guess I think it'll be interesting to track like what seeds are they planting that feel like they go beyond Rhaenyra and then Aegon's death. Like I do think we need to watch Aegon die.
For sure.
I love the theories that like Alicent's going to be the one to do it or whatever. Just have Gwayne and Alicent Hightower
Just kill everyone.
poison twins. You know what I mean? Like
I love it.
sounds really fun. But like, I don't know. We don't have to do this right now, but just sort of like in general, let's continue to watch sort of the characters that are introduced, the seeds that are planted, our ongoing is Tywin Lannister alive, like debate,
Right.
et cetera, to see.
Even Lady Footley being here, one of the Widows of Winter, those characters. So like there is, it's a good shout in the email that there's a lot of like these people who are going to be around
are here.
are here
We've
now.
met Craig and Stark.
To your point, maybe that just means when we get a bunch of words on the screen very quickly updating us, we're like, we know who those people are.
And they're like, and then Lady Footley charged people to touch dragons. Or it's a montage at the end. You just see Lady Footley being like, penny a touch.
Yeah. Yes. That is increasingly what I think, honestly, the like Aegon the Third ascending moment will kind of be given to us in the like, Arya's on the prow of the ship.
Right.
Sansa in the cloak of
Coronation.
Werewood leaves.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we have to see Aegon the Third there. But are we getting a bunch of like how to run
baby?
the realm after that?
A baby.
Probably not.
I'm excited. Joffrey's on his way to King's Landing. That's exciting.
Good old Joff. What final predictions for whether they will have aged this child up?
Yeah.
I sure hope so. He needs to be
They're like-
so much older
They're
than
like,
he is.
Helena's only 5 months pregnant. It's only been 5 months, but we got a new actor for Joffrey. All right. And then, I don't know, Corlys Triarchy Hunt. I don't know.
I have no idea. I just, how long could he possibly be sidelined? It doesn't make sense.
What is he going to do?
I have no idea.
Hunt
I'm very
fucking
confused by
pirates?
this, to be honest.
Is he gonna like hook up with the Rook's Rest plot? Like, is that possible?
Could be.
How?
That seems like a possibility. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like the coastal,
Yeah.
the stretch of town, I mean, they're like Larys can't wait to get to Duskendale. These ports, these port cities. Maybe. That's all I can. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Going out to like gaze at the decomposing body of Meleys, and think about Rhaenys.
That would be pretty sad.
Sad. Dear sweet sugar plum Meleys who never did anything wrong in her life.
No, Meleys has blood on her scales, god damn it. Still not over that. All right, we did it. Halfway through the season, sad. Jeez. Thank you to our team, our Dragon Riders.
Should I give any more response? It is sad, and I will miss doing this with you.
Carlos, Scott, Jamie is here today.
Jamie is here today.
Jamie's here with us today. What a treat. Arjuna, Jomi, the whole squad. Join us again.
Jacob's here. Did you say
Jacob's
Jacob?
here.
Jacob's here.
Jacob is here. I mean, to have Jacob and Jamie is just, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Absolutely.
My God. Join us for episode 5 of Talk to Thrones Sunday night immediately after the episodes. And then next.
Ciara's back.
Ciara's back. And then next week for the deep dive. And then please come to San Diego to see us at Comic-Con.
Come say hi in San Diego. We'll see you soon. Bye.